Go next to Peter Blake, please.
What's going on, Coach? You talked about Dabo and his advice that he gave you. Can you kind of expound on that? What kind of advice he gave you going through these adverse times? And then on top of it, how excited are you to add Coach Morris to your coaching staff?
Yeah, well, I would say, overall advice from Coach Sweeney, number one, hey, be yourself, right? And realize that, you don't have to go down to South Florida and try to do everything that we did at Clemson, but take the things that you believe in. And then the other thing is understand you're not going to do it, like that, and really you go back and look at the rise at Clemson. I mean, it took us many years. I can remember, much like I'm just finished my second year going into our third year, we finished 6 and 7 in Coach Sweeney's second year. And there was a lot of questions of what's going on. And Coach Sweeney made the comment, actually, South Florida came up to Charlotte and beat Clemson in the bowl game. And I was on that staff at Clemson, finishing Coach Sweeney's second year. And there was a lot of questions of what the future looks like. And it was 2010. And I'll never forget, Coach Sweeney in the post-game press conference after losing to South Florida in the bowl game. He talked about the culture change and the process that's been, happening and the standards beginning to change and our roster and everything's coming together. And he said, he went out on a limb. He said, we're starting a new decade. And he said, mark my word, 2020, we'll look back at this and it'll be the best decade in the history of Clemson football. And the next year, it took off. And also that leads into the next point is Coach Morris came into Clemson the next year. Right there, he was a big part of the change there at Clemson with our offense. I was going into my third year, and Coach Morris came to us from Tulsa after being an offensive coordinator for 1 year. And really, Coach Morris had a way of having a fast-paced offense that maybe looked complicated and created problems for a defense, but was very simple to teach to the players. And we had some really talented freshmen, Sammy Watkins being one of them, coming in that we needed to get on the field and be able to go out and play. And so, that was a big change for us at Clemson during that 2011 season when Coach Morris came in. And so, working very closely with him for 4 years, obviously we developed a great relationship. And then when he left to go to SMU to be the head coach, that's when, Coach Sweeney promoted Tony and I to co-offensive coordinators, and we were able to continue running the offense there at Clemson the next 5 years. But, I talked to Coach Morris a lot during his times at SMU, and really SMU was in a very similar situation when he got there to the program that I took over here at South Florida. And really kind of that process, his first year, I think they might have won 1 or 2 games. And then his third year, they won 7 and went to a bowl game for the first time in 5 years. So really, someone kind of leaving Clemson, going into this conference and finding a way to kind of flip and turn the tide a little bit. I think adding him here is going to be a great resource for myself, just from, a lot of the head coaching decisions and somebody I can bounce things off of. But then also for Coach Trickett and our offensive staff to have, Coach Morris in the building, just to be able to add some ideas and thoughts. I've been on Coach Morris for the last couple of years to come join us, and really excited that he decided to do that this fall.
Video. Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter. Where's Uncle Peter? I call him.
Football, man, you gotta love it. To do this, you literally have to love it and be able to create that juice from within. Just be able to go out there and compete. Like, bro, Tom Brady is our quarterback. Like, I'm going to get some every day. Like, how can you not get hyped? Like, this dude is the best football player to ever play. Mike Evans is one of the best receivers to ever play the game. So, like, being able to come out here and compete, and then I'm in Florida. So, like, you can't beat that. You literally can't beat it. It's a win-win here. But that gets me juiced up in the morning, just being able to come and compete, coming from where I came from. It's a blessing to be here and be able to win rings with the greats and have a chance to be one of them.
back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television live here on Amped Up Sports. I love St. Pete and the Hub. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. How do we start off this show on a Monday night? You ready to go? Here we go. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, former Coach Scout and Out, media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty on with us. And then also my professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports, Mr. Harry the Greek. And then, of course, your phone calls, as always. I want to get to it because there's a lot of things to talk about today. And I know that you're raring to go to get your opinion out there on Deshaun Watson, as well as I am. So I open up the phone lines for you tonight. I ask you to be respectful. Don't curse. I know there's going to be a lot of passionate people on the phone saying he's guilty, he's not guilty, he should have got more games. I can understand that. That's what this show is for. Is it a radio show? Is it a TV show? It's both. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We'll go out to the comments here really quick because I want to keep a good balance tonight. I don't want to neglect you guys. Again, phone line open, text line open. Use it. All right, let's go out to Roger Shue. Hey, y'all. Go out to Christopher Cole. Hey, 44 Pete and everyone. Blake Anthony. Uncle Sweet Pete. I don't know about the uncle part, but okay. Yes! Let's go out to Lewis here. We are so excited for the Bulls this year, just like every year. And all we ask is that all the players have fun and stay healthy. Thank you for giving us college football. Go Bulls. Yes, we're going to cover it. We're going to try to cover it for Amped Up Sports. We're going to cover it on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Absolutely. Let's go out to Tim here. Jeff Scott is a good coach. They will be better if he gets better recruiting classes. Definitely looks like the recruiting classes are a lot better. Again, it comes down to what they do on the field, right? But from all the rankings and everything like that, pretty good recruits, pretty good job of not only recruiting a quarterback at a Baylor and Bohannon, who they're very excited about, but the transfer portal has opened up. Let's go out to Tom here. Free Griner, Christopher Cole, CD3, LFG. Timothy Hill says, what an absolute outstanding trade deadline so far for the New York Yankees, and have to agree with you on that. Woo! Because the Yankees are trying to win it all. And there's never any denying that. So I'll never come on this show and say the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox or even the LA Dodgers aren't going all in. In fact, I've said it millions of times on this show. I wish the Rays had the same mindset, and they don't. And that's the reason why you don't have the fan support like you have. By the way, Brett Phillips, DFA, good night. A great guy, didn't necessarily work out, but World Series hero just a couple years ago. So good. Hopefully it works out for him. Hopefully he picks up with another team. Disappointing to say the least because I believe he's a fan favorite. But again, it's all about the Rays and it's all about business, right? And some fans just don't understand business. And that's the reason why you don't have the fan support you do. We'll get out to our guest in a moment. Let me keep on reading these comments. Wanda says, hello, Peter. Roger Shue. I agree with the Watson suspension. Why? Why do you agree with it? Don't just troll me tonight because I'm not in the mood for trolling. I'll troll you back. It won't be a good night for you. Give me your reasons why you're happy with the suspension. Tim says, abuse women, abuse marijuana, same thing in the NFL. Good point. I will be at the joint practice on August 11th. Very cool. Roger Shue says 6 games is enough. Watson is innocent. I don't know why you say that, but okay. Feels so surreal that we have to talk about who's replacing Ryan Jensen under center this season. Agree. And Roger Shue says Rays are trash, and this is what you get for that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get out to our guest here. Let's get out to the legend himself, get his walk-up music on. Here we go. All right, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. Productions and Amped Up Sports. He's all over the place. I hear NFL radio the other day, Fox Sports Radio, CBS Sports Radio. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. But guess what? You're not by yourself tonight because we got somebody else to get in on here. Here we go. Mr. 116 and 69, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, my professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. That's right, I said my professional handicapper. Need to take his advice. Gentlemen, let's get to it. Once again, welcome to the evolution, and the big story of the day has to be Deshaun Watson and the 6-game suspension. I have to eat some crow on this, although it is not official until the NFL decides to accept the decision. That would be Roger Goodell. But if it is true, I do owe you gentlemen dinner. Leo, start with you first. Are you surprised by the suspension? Should it be more? Should it be less? Give me your thoughts.
I'm not surprised by the suspension, and I'm not surprised by the length. There are two things that really bother me about this whole thing. For one thing, what is nonviolent sexual assault? I have never heard that term before, but that's what the mediator put in there. He said it was nonviolent sexual assault. Well, is there any other kind of sexual assault than violent? So I'm wondering there. Here's the second thing. And guys, I'm going to throw this out to you and anybody listening. If that's your daughter, that's one of those people, is she going to court? I'm walking her into that courtroom and she's going to get her day in court. The fact that no one wanted to go to court definitely affected the mediator's decision. If one person would have went in there, they could have thrown Deshaun Watson out for life. But again, no one was willing to go in there. And you know what goes through people's minds then? They're after the money. That's all. And that may probably be wrong, but you know what? That's what everybody's thinking right now. There was a money grab. They went after Deshaun Watson because he's a millionaire. They got their money. They're happy. They're gone. So don't let me hear people say, oh, my God, he only got 6 games. He still hasn't been convicted of a crime. And that's the biggest problem. You can't give anybody more than 6 games for not committing a crime. That's my thoughts on it.
All right, I tell you what, hold the thoughts here, panel, because we're going to go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on with yours truly, along with Leo Haggerty and, of course, Harry the Greek.
Pete, it's Alex. What's up, man?
What's going on, buddy? I didn't save your number. Okay, so give me your thoughts on this because everybody wants to talk about it. Panel, I just asked for you to be as patient as possible because we're going to get as much interaction as we can tonight. Everybody has something to say, so we're going to allow them to say it. Yes.
Yeah, so discussing his thing, everybody's upset about the whole, he only got 6-game suspension?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Well, see, I am not, and when I make this comment, I'm not defending his actions. We don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I know that's a lot of people that possibly got hurt. That's what happened. But at the end of the day, the way the NFL looks at it is it's one of those, you're innocent until proven guilty. Unfortunately,
come on.
Unfortunately,
It's the other way around.
Come on, man.
Well, I tell you what, Harry, you got something to say about it. Alex, just hold on here. You want to interject here, Harry? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to interject. Let's just stop the nonsense. Alex, trust me, I appreciate your opinions on this. They were never going to convict this man, okay? And they were going to sweep it under the carpet, and I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible. I want to go back to one particular stud owner by the name of Robert Kraft when he was down here in a rub and tug somewhere in South Florida, and he never did anything. And they had it on video. Are you listening to me? It was on video. And he paid, hold on, and then he paid lots of money to go ahead and get out of it to say, what you seeing on TV, that really didn't happen, okay? And then you have, hold on, then you have Daniel Snyder and then Mr. Jones. These are the reasons why people can get away from non-violent sexual assault. Let me tell you what non-violent sexual assault is, guys, okay? Oh, you didn't slap me that hard. It's okay. Just paddle me a little bit more in the back. It's like, get out of here. Okay.
Right.
The guy's a creep.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
He's an absolute creep.
yes.
Adrian Peterson, for beating his kid, got more time than that, and that was one child. And Leo, you're correct with this. I can give you millions of reasons, probably about 24 million reasons why no one's ever stepped foot in a courtroom. But shame on the NFL. Shame on the decision. Shame on the lady justice who actually ruled on this, because it is pity. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can go full screen on me. If I'm the defensive coordinator on game one that Deshaun Watson's playing, if you think Bountygate was bad with the New Orleans Saints, they ought to pay someone to put a couple of dents right through his ear hole, right with a couple of linebackers. That's my thoughts.
Say something.
Strong comments. Go ahead, Alex.
I want to say something.
Yes.
I want to get you to understand me real quick. Like, I am not defending his actions. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know. We don't know. You don't know. Pete don't know. The NFL don't know what actually happened. We will never know.
Alex,
yes, you are right.
Let me ask you. Let me throw this out there, because I want to read this from Sue
wait,
Robinson.
Wait, and make this known. By the way, before you go on, I am not defending his actions. I think it's disgusting. I pray to God that nobody really did get hurt. I don't know what happened, but I'm saying, by the way the NFL looks, yes, Deshaun Watson probably paid a shit ton of money to shut people the hell up. Probably that's what happened. He probably paid a lot of money to all these women. They took the money, they ran, they shut up. Not defending it. I'm saying, by the statements that I'm saying, is that nobody went to court, produced any evidence. So unfortunately, in my opinion, the NFL just ruled that, you know what, there's no evidence. We can't really convict this guy, and that's the way it has to go. But know this, coming out of my mouth, I am not defending his actions if that's what happened. I think it's disgusting. I prayed, like I said, I pray nobody got hurt. And that's all I can say about that.
All right, let me go ahead and read this from Sue Robinson, and this is from the statement that she just released a couple hours ago. When it came to, Robinson wrote that the NFL carried its burden to prove by preponderance, Leo word right there, of the evidence that Mr. Watson engaged in sexual assault as defined by the NFL against the 4 therapists identified in the report. Mr. Watson violated the policy in this regard. Furthermore, Robinson also found that Watson's predatory conduct cast a negative light on the league and its players. Furthermore, the pattern of behavior was egregious. It was a nonviolent sexual conduct. Like you guys said, nonviolent sexual conduct. The thing for me, guys, is the pattern of behavior was egregious. So let me get this straight. And we'll come back to you in a moment, Alex, and then we got to run here. I'll have you call back in just a moment, because I know you want to talk about the Rays in just a little bit. But if the pattern of behavior, and that's the reason why you suspended Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games, and it was only a couple incidents, why isn't there more suspension here? And if I'm Roger Goodell at this point, gentlemen, I have to take a stand, because clearly I have failed with Ray Rice. I have failed with Greg Hardy until the PR, basically the S hit the fan, and then I put down the suspension. I failed with Kareem Hunt. I need to take a stand. If you're all about women football fans in the National Football League, you have to suspend this guy for a year or longer. Leo, your thoughts?
Not a chance, Peter. And I'm going to give you 2 words: Daniel Snyder. Believe
Jerry
me,
Jones.
Yeah, keep jumping in, because
Robert Kraft.
Yeah, the NFLPA will not stand for anything longer. And again, Peter and Harry, somebody needed to come forward, go to court, and say this is what happened. No one did. That's the problem. No one did.
Exactly.
And if you don't mind, Leo, let me interject here.
Before I go, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Before I go, that is the problem, and he is absolutely correct. Unfortunately, there was no evidence brought to court, so the NFL has to look at it like that. There was no evidence. There was no court case. It was everybody took the money,
It's a he said, she said. That's the problem.
But here's the thing, and
it's
I'll,
unfortunate.
I'll let you go on this, Alex. You don't necessarily have to have any proof at this point. If what Miss Robinson is saying, Judge Robinson is saying, that the predatory conduct cast a negative light on the league and its players, whether the owners did it or not. The players represent the National Football League, whether we like it or not. Nobody gives a stuff about the owners. They care about players. They care about Watson. That's why it's a story on all sports talk radio and sports talk television. If these allegations or these statements, if you will, by Miss Robinson are true, he should be suspended for longer than 6 games. That's why it's confusing.
And my last thing, and I'm done. I promise. And they probably are true. But unfortunately, the reality is nobody went to court. So unfortunately, that's how the NFL looks at it.
Because the NFL, first of all, the NFL doesn't convict anybody. That's what they hold courts for. But you know what? Let's talk about the personal conduct. Forget the crap that they couldn't convince anybody. I could tell you there's a million reasons for there's 24 million reasons why, because each one of these ladies got $1 million. And if they opened up their mouth, they stood a chance of not receiving that money. So it's never going to come to light. The bottom line is this. They're too scared to come forward to say anything because they are going to be looked at bad upon what their professions were. Because if they really were legal masseuse therapists, someone would have actually came forward. Okay.
Exactly.
First off. Okay. But here it is. Courts will decide that. But when you have a justice, a former judge, preside over this and make a ruling, come on, man. What's that saying about the women's rights? Let me go back to Ray Rice. Okay.
Yep.
The guy was drunk. His girlfriend was drunk. We don't know actually what was said, but we could only see what was on that video. Did you know if that was Robert Kraft or Jerry Jones? Oh man, that wasn't me. What me?
Right.
And that's
that wasn't me.
And that's the only blotch on Ray Rice. And look what happened to him.
Never played football again, Leo.
Ever.
And to that point, guys, and Alex, I'll let you go. We'll get out to the phone lines. Thanks a lot for the call. Definitely use that second call, all right, my friend?
All right.
Let me give you the woo.
I'll call back.
All right, appreciate it. I'll tell you what, let's continue. Let's go out to the phone line. Somebody has been patiently waiting. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend Leo Haggerty and Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Sports. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's James Ludeman.
What's going on, James? How you doing? Welcome, buddy. How you doing? What do you think about this Deshaun Watson case?
Well, there's a few things, and I'll make it brief because I'm sure you got a bunch of people that are wanting to call. But
sure.
Honestly, and I said this in the comments, I think whatever happens with Roger Goodell, if it's no more than 6 games, or whatever, if it's 6 games and it stands, if I'm Calvin Ridley, I got my attorney on the phone 5 minutes after that decision, because if Calvin Ridley,
great point,
on a team that he wasn't even playing with.
Right.
He was not even playing.
He's not
with
betting
them.
against them, but I get it. It's gambling and it's hypocritical because the NFL has embraced
gambling. Did someone say gamble?
Yes. Well,
because sports gambling is not, sports betting is not big, right?
Right. Fantasy football called. They want to know what you were talking about. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm Calvin Ridley, depending on how this suspension goes, I have my appeal lawyer on the phone 5 minutes after, because let me just say this, and I
can't compare the two though, sir.
No, you can't.
Respectfully, I'd like to say respectfully, you can't compare the two. It's hard enough even to compare the situation with Ray Rice or even an Adrian Peterson when he allegedly was being abusive to his children. The Adrian Peterson, let's not be mistaken, the one that was in Minnesota, not the Bears. Let's talk about what happened with Ezekiel Elliott, Ben Roethlisberger, or the guy that committed murder but never got convicted of it, the guy from Baltimore, but we won't say his name. Look, the NFL's so corrupt it's not even funny. And gambling is one of the biggest reasons, besides Robert Kraft and Daniel Snyder and what happened with Jerry Jones. Trust me, the gambling in the casinos, and now that the NFL has dipped not their toes into something, but they dipped their entire body into that gambling pool. Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy said it best. You will see more proposition bets and more gambling off that very first game that Deshaun Watson comes back. And I will bet to say there will be more action on that game than any action the entire season on any football game. Those are the real reasons why it's the greed of money, gentlemen and ladies.
Yep.
Money.
Yep, it's all about money. James, go ahead, and then we'll get out to Leo here. I mean, Calvin Ridley, I agree with you on that, and I think it sets up. I get it. There, you can't compare the two. To me, what Watson is doing is far worse than what Calvin Ridley has done. I think what Watson has done, and I get it. There are allegations, but guys, how many allegations? I get it. Criminally, he was not charged with anything. But if you're talking about code of conduct, it has never stopped Roger Goodell in the league before from suspending somebody. So I would say it has to be more. It has to be a lot more games than Calvin Ridley. It has to be a lot more games than Ezekiel Elliott. If you're taking a stand on this, and this is what the NFL has said, and again, I just think this is talk, so you don't basically offend any women football fans out there, that you're going to take a stand against domestic violence, you're going to take a stand against sexual crimes, then do it. You have the opportunity to do it. Your thoughts, James, and then we'll get out to you, Leo.
2 points. Number one, I agree with a lot of what was said. It's not the same thing, but I think the issue is in that same issue. Is that the NFL is the most inconsistent league when it comes to bearing out punishment, and it is due to money. I'll give you that, but you can't sit here and hire female coaches and female GMs and female film people and sit here and tell me that now all of a sudden, because it's Deshaun Watson, you're going to turn a blind eye to that? You are spitting in the face of every woman who is in the league now and every woman who aspires to be in the league.
Thank you.
There are people out there who work their entire lives to get into the NFL. Now, I agree with you. Listen, the money is the big thing, and that's what drives it. But this is part of the failure of Roger Goodell, and this is going to be, in my opinion, and I'll go with this. In my opinion, this is going to either make or break Roger Goodell, because unfortunately somebody is going to court, and it may not be the same court we're talking about, but it's the court of public opinion, and that's sometimes worse than going to court.
You want to know how this also gets resolved? You want to see Deshaun Watson in the NFL and Roger Goodell start shaking like a whore in church? Sorry, excuse the French. How about some of the movements that are out there? You have the woke movement. You have this movement. You have that movement. Everybody's standing up on a soapbox. How about the movement from the ladies that shouldn't be abused? How about the womanizing that's been happening? How about some of the women in this country gather and start marching in front of the NFL headquarters? You want to know how quickly things will change? I promise you. If half this country was to turn around and say, yeah, we're going to boycott the NFL because we don't believe in the way that women are being treated or abused and sexual harassment, trust me when I tell you, it would never fly. There's a movement for everything. But they got so much money that they're just going to let this be able to get swept under the rug. I'm telling you now, the NFL has not heard the last of this. They have.
You know what, Harry? Here's the problem. I think you're close. Until sponsors start dropping, that's what'll change. When all of a sudden Coca-Cola, all of a sudden, Johnsonville Brats, they start dropping sponsorships because this, then the NFL will sit up and take notice. And Peter, I got to disagree with you one thing. It's not sexual crimes, it's sexual conduct because there's no crime yet.
It's still a personal conduct policy that the National Football League has.
That's personal conduct is not a crime, and it's not a sexual crime.
No, but it's suspendable.
Right, it is. And he just got suspended for 6 games, and that's going to stand.
I didn't ask for the man, Leo. I didn't ask for the man to get locked up. I'm asking for this man to get justice and discipline.
He got justice. He got
justice. He got 6 whole games. Tell that to a personal friend of mine in the name of Pete Rose that I've known for over 30 years. Okay, 30 years.
Well, I tell you,
is he ever going to get justice? No, the only justice that he got was shoved right up his rectum. That he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. Not allowed to do personal things.
Harry,
Come on, man.
He's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, when he's dead.
After he dies.
After he dies.
Leo, I know that
I'm fired up about this. I'm sorry, guys.
Leo, I know you got to run, but do you want to stay on for a little bit longer, or you got to run?
I'll give you about 10 more minutes, Peter.
All right, 10 more minutes. All right, James. Anything else, my friend?
No, I mean that's it for me. I just listen. Honestly, if Roger Goodell, makes a decision, and I mean even if this goes to 8 games, I still don't think it's enough. So I agree with what you're saying, and I agree that it is sexual conduct more than anything else. But I still think if you're an NFL player, you have a certain aura that look up kids and look up to you, and women and men of all ages look up to you as a player. And what kind of example are you setting if you are allowing this to continue? 6 games, that means you're saying, well, it's just sexual conduct, a slap on the wrist, regardless of what happens. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
This is a league that's still building for the future.
Again, guys, it's a he said, she said, because it's never gone to court. That's your problem.
If it didn't happen, then Leo, then why is he suspended? Why isn't he not fighting this?
Oh no, he's not fighting it. And in fact, here's the thing: the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson said before the mediation, we will accept whatever comes out. There's your problem: is 6 games okay? Now, if the NFL says no, we got it, and the NFLPA is going to fight this too.
I think there's 204. I think there's 240 million reasons why he's only missing 6 games. Okay.
Yeah. And I think also the Browns knew that he
it's
was
all about the money.
It's always about the money, fellas.
It's all the money trail. That's the reason why his contract is only $1 million guaranteed this year. James, thanks a lot for the call. Let me give you the Ric Flair.
Woo!
Appreciate it as always. And
great call. Thank you.
All right, James?
You know what the sad part of this whole thing is?
Yes.
The death of Bill Russell goes back to second place. That's the sad thing. No one and again, I'm going to come out and I'm going to tell you, when you talk about the greatest players in the NBA, Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell are 1 and 1A. Everybody else is fighting for third. And again, you could talk all you want about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and all that. Bill Russell's got 11 rings. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points, had averaged 50 rebounds in a season. Again, those are the 2 best players. And again, I had a chance to see them. That's the whole thing. And Bill Russell not only was a great basketball player, but he stood up at times when you didn't stand up. You just played the game. Bill Russell stood up for civil rights and was there. He didn't just shy away.
Yeah, it's definitely a loss for the NBA and the sports community as a whole. I mean, Russell, one of the greatest players of all time. I don't think he's the greatest player of all time because
he's the greatest championship player, Peter. He's got 11 rings. Can't fight that.
And again, if you're going off of championships, there's definitely you can definitely say something to that. I mean, Harry, do you want to respond about Bill Russell? You get a chance to see him play?
No, I've only seen video. I got to go back to the Deshaun Watson thing. I'm sorry. I got to say something.
Well,
the NFL still knew about this, okay? And so did the Cleveland Browns, for God's sakes, okay?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, one of the stipulations in the clauses were that even if he did get convicted and he wasn't able to play, he was still collecting his money. Now, who in the world would pay someone $200 million if they knew it's like, look, man, it's corrupt. And again, I'm going to move on from it. It's corrupt, no matter what you say, I say, what anybody else says. But let me tell you something. There's power in numbers. Okay? You remember that in America and across the world, there was power in numbers. There is a movement for everything. If you don't agree with the way the NFL is handling this, let your voice be heard. Hey, Mr. Corporation that's out there, take your sponsorship away. You're absolutely correct. Because once the money starts hitting the ground, the NFL will start paying attention. But I'm telling you now, they knew nothing was going to happen by this, and they're given 6 games because they're going to say, well, this is going to suffice it. Well, you know what? It doesn't.
Well,
it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Let's go into some of the suspensions throughout the history of the NFL. Starting in 2021, running back Darius Guy suspended 6 games for domestic violence.
Oh, God.
I mean, if it's domestic violence you're talking about, it should be longer than 6 games. And again, this is kind of a pattern. I'm going to go through it right now. Wide receiver Antonio Brown suspended 8 games, multiple violations of personal conduct policy. If you want to go with Deshaun Watson, there's multiple violations with that. Cleveland running back Kareem Hunt suspended 8 games, assault caught on video. Seattle defensive lineman Jared Reed suspended 6 games, assault accusation. Just an accusation, 6 games. Raiders guard Richie Incognito suspended 2 games. Seattle linebacker Michael Kendrick suspended 8 games. Insider trading. Insider trading is a lot more of a penalty than.
Oh, by the way, Michael Jordan's still number 1, Leo.
Well,
Keep dreaming, Harry. Keep dreaming.
I'll tell you what. let's go out to Mr. Blake Anthony. I know he wants to talk about this, so we'll get him on again. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, and of course, my professional handicapper extraordinaire, Mr. 11669, Harry the Greek. Blake, you're on.
Stay Greek, my friend.
What's going on, buddy? Your thoughts on this, the suspension today, or the suggestion, if you will, by Judge Robertson, 6 games. Now the NFL has a couple days to appeal it. Your thoughts on this whole situation? Did they get it right?
Yeah, I think me and you talked a bunch about this off air.
We did.
Leo said a lot of what I said on the phone call with you. Is like you have to separate your personal feelings and look at what's fact and what's fiction in this story. Then you just got to go with what the outcome is. So there's separation of powers. That's why the judicial system and everybody has separation of things. They have a criminal court, civil court, and then there's the NFL. And let's not forget what the NFL is. It's a business. They're going to look at what their best intentions are and to keep the money flow coming in, whether it's sponsors or whatever it is.
Fair enough.
And that's that. So somebody said that if he's not criminally charged, then what are you suspending him on? Personal conduct policy. Peter, you got a computer in front of you. I'm sure you can look up while you got Harry and the legend Leo.
Yep.
There, what the policy conduct is.
I will go ahead. I will go ahead and read this to you, and you tell me if Watson. I want to read it. Clubs and players are obligated to promptly report any matter that comes to their attention. By the way, he did not report this matter to the club or to the league. Through example, victim or witness reports, law enforcement, or media reports that may constitute a violation of this policy. Clubs are expected to educate their employees on this obligation to report. Club reports should be made to NFL security or Adolfo Birch of the Management Council, legal staff. Questions about whether an incident triggers a reporting obligation should be directed to Adolfo Birch or Lisa Frill of the league office. Failure to report an incident will be grounds for disciplinary action. This obligation to report is broader than simply reporting an arrest. It requires reporting to the league any incident that comes to the club or player's attention, which in turn, you have over 20 incidents or allegations that were never reported. The judge
never happened.
The judge just came out and said he lied about it. The judge also said that he has a pattern, an egregious pattern of behavior, Leo. This is what I don't understand. It's contradictory at this point. If the judge is going to say all these things, why the 6 games?
Peter, you hit the nail on the head. Here's your problem. Violent sexual assault was 6 games. How can you give more than 6 games to nonviolent sexual assault? The league has tied its hands on this because way back when they should have jumped ship and said, okay, you're going down for a year, and tell everybody else, this is the standard. It's a year. And we will add on to a year. They set it at 6 games. And that's your problem, Peter. You've got precedent. And Harry, you know as well as I do, precedent rules when it comes to the court of law.
Well, and to me, and again, I think the NFL, the way they handled the Ray Rice situation with bringing the victim, the wife at the time, up to the league office and basically try to persuade her that nothing happened or it wasn't that bad, was wrong in the first place. They messed that up. They messed up the Greg Hardy situation. And again, my point of this whole deal is if you're taking a stand about protecting the Shield and the players are representing the Shield, and you're also taking a stand for women's rights, which you have a lot of women football fans out there, you must suspend him for a year. And I don't care if the NFL Players Association sues you, you take it to the Supreme Court. They're not going to do it. They're not strong enough. Look at the CBA. They haven't been able to stand on their own 2 feet because the NFL and Roger Goodell have absolutely crushed them. So I wouldn't be worried about it at the end of the day. If this is about money, if this is about PR, if this is about backlash, but at the end of the day, if it's just about doing the right thing, in order to do the right thing, you have to suspend him for longer than 6
And then Daniel Snyder has to go too. And Peter, they're not going to do it.
Well,
That's the problem.
and
They're not going to. It's the problem we're having right now.
Right.
Hey, talk all you want about January 6th. They're not going after their own. It's a cult up there. Democrats, Republicans, whatever. Hey, that's the problem. That we should have term limits up there because you know what? Public service shouldn't be a career. And that's what it is. And that's the problem they got here. If you go after Deshaun Watson for a year, fine. You got to get rid of Daniel Snyder.
And I like to.
It's not going to happen.
I like to go.
You know what? I got to give credit to Leo because he talked about this already. And I was saying, before he ain't playing this year. Oh, he ain't playing this year. And then the more I started thinking about it, saying, he'll be playing after 6 or 8 games. And Leo's like, he's not. Leo was the one that was screaming on the soapbox that he was not going to be suspended that long because, and he started making me think, the Robert Krafts, the Daniel Snyders, what happened here, there's no conviction. It's this, it's that. Leo, you are correct.
And you know what, Harry? Here's the problem. I may be correct, but I may not be right. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? That make any sense?
Oh, I understood exactly what you meant by that.
Yeah.
I just think power in numbers, okay, which is the people, and they're going to have their voice is going to have to be heard. I'm telling you now, if you thought, and I'm going to predict this, and I'm going to take over, okay? You know, I'm not a gambling man, right? Okay, anyway. You remember what happened with Colin Kaepernick, correct?
Oh, yeah.
How about Tim Tebow?
Yep.
This, my friend, is going to trump both of them combined. Okay.
Hey, Harry, let me throw this out at you.
Let this crap get out of CNN a little bit in MSNBC. Want to watch something spread like wildfire? Watch this.
Hey, let's say that suspension stands for 6 games, and the Browns are 2-4, and Deshaun Watson comes in and wins 5 straight, and now all of a sudden they're 7-4. You know what? Everything will be forgotten. That's the problem. That's the problem.
It's all about winning.
It's all about winning and money, and it's the wrong thing. And tell you what, we've been neglecting the web heads here, Leo. I know you got to get out of here, but let's read these comments really quick, and then we'll get you out of here on what Tom Brady had to say about Jensen. Of course, that's the other big story here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ryan Jensen, and there hasn't been any conclusive reports, but it has been said that he could miss significant months here up to November or December. So we'll see how that plays out. But definitely
he should be out for the year with the injury he suffered. He should be out for the year. If they try to bring him back November, December, it's because they're purely desperate. That man needs to sit out the year. Otherwise, it could be career ending.
All right. Well, let's get back to that in a moment. Let's go back out to these comments and read them here. Let's go out to Tim. My daughter wouldn't even have a job as a massage person. Christopher Cole, it should be at least a year, but it's the first time they've ever used an independent arbitrator. It's a good point by Christopher Cole. Dan Leo must have heard our conversation, Peter. Absolutely. I think he did. David says, Leo, is that how Robert Kraft, you think, got away with it because he wasn't convicted of a crime? Good question, Leo.
The video never happened.
Nope, never happened.
He was never on there. That wasn't me.
Let's go out to Tim. Here's the answer. Watson went to the happy ending massage parlor, so it makes it okay. I know you're being funny at that point, so I'm not going to do anything. It proves that no matter what you do, if you're a good football player, they will find a way to teach you on the look. Look at Michael Vick. Well, with that being said,
Michael Vick went to jail. Hold on now.
And still got
different animal.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively.
Well, you killed dogs. You kill a dog. Yes, it's a lot more. It's a lot different. Let's just say that. We'll put that out there. David says, I'm with you, Harry. High, low. Okay. Browns 0-6. Watson behind center week 7, says Rick. Hello, room. What's going on? Brandon Blake says, Brandon, what's up? Blake again. First off, the NFL doesn't convict anyone, unless it's Josh Gordon, or of course if it's Tom Brady for Deflategate, which there was very little evidence for that, and he still got suspended. But again, it is neither here nor there. We'll compare it and we'll get upset about it, but at the end of the day, we'll see what the NFL does here in the next couple days. Watson paid them lots of money for acts, and then the ladies decided to turn the table on him. David says, if he was innocent, then why is his contract that he had stated if he was convicted or not, he still gets all his money? An innocent man wouldn't have worried about that. Christopher Cole says, If the defensive players have wives or daughters, they get 15-yard penalty on the first play he starts. Tim says the NFL Players Association all go to happy ending massage parlors. That's why, says Tim, they should have been January 6th committee to decide the suspension. Right?
Yeah.
Christopher Cole says the Kathleen of Florida LB laugh out loud. Blake says Pete Rose isn't the Hall of Fame because of the same thing. Free Ridley. Juana says, yep, it's all about the money. Sad. David says, after just 6 games, how can any women listen and believe that the NFL Players Association say they're on their side? It's a great point.
Yeah, baby.
I'll give you the Austin Powers on that because I agree. The argument has to be take a look at the SOP of the league. That needs to be revised. Jay says, is that James /Ludeman there? It is. Roger says Roger for Hall of Fame. How about this?
Shut up!
Disagree with you being in the Hall of Fame and definitely Roger Goodell, but more than likely Goodell will make the Hall of Fame because people will say how much the league has grown over the years with all the money that's been put in it. The NFL is a business, not a justice system. The NFL's sole purpose is to make money. Remember that. Rick
I think I said that.
Yep. Spit in the face. Is that non-violent? Exactly, Harry, not touching that. Alex says, I agree with Leo. Alex again, there's no crime. Alex again, until he's convicted, there's no crime. Rick says, all MLB DraftKings is their biggest sponsor now. Jay says, Big Ben got suspended. He did get suspended. What was it for?
4 games. 4 games. 4.
Okay. I think it was 6 and it was reduced to 4. Jay
Yeah.
Garrison says, yes. Ralph, again, Watson should have received a lifetime ban. Make Cleveland eat it. Jay says, Blake Anthony wasn't sure. Roger Shoe. Pete, give me the woo. I'll give you the woo.
Woo!
And then I'll give you this.
Shut up!
Andrew says, Jordan number 1. Rick, world champion. Woo. I'll give it to you. Let's go out to Roger Shoe here. Jordan is God. Juana says, Jordan is number 1. Jay says, Dr. J is the GOAT because MJ said so.
That's true.
Andrew says, Russell had 8 either other Hall of Famers on the roster, all-time
That's
great.
true.
Jordan was the best. He had no Chamberlain. No one was in his caliber besides a Scottie Pippen. Everybody else, in my opinion, was a role player. I know what you're going to say. Dennis Rodman was there, but that's about it. So that is a good point. Put it out there. Exactly, Pete. Juana says, yes, Harry, it's corrupt. You are so right. There is power and numbers. Tim says, Deshaun got another happy ending. Par for his course. David says, wow. I guess I'll give you the yes.
Yes!
The NFL's knew something happened. That's why he allowed to have massages now being approved by Cleveland massage therapists, a.k.a. paid off workers. Andrew says, Watson should never play in the league again. Plain and simple, Browns should lose the picks they traded, but the Texans shouldn't get them either for enabling him for years. Absolutely great comment. Because with this, and this is a great point, what you come to find out, and everybody said, well, the Texans are setting him up. What you come to find out is they knew about it. They were giving him authorization for non-disclosure agreements. The NFL should also suspend the Houston Texans and their ownership for the way they put all that stuff out there. Oscar Robinson was number 1, I believe. Alex says Blake is on point. Juana says, yep, the NFL is a business. Christopher Cole, the NFL and the Texans should be ashamed of themselves. Jay says, not to mention it's a slap in the face of the women coaches and other women NFL employees. Andrew, DC fans would love to see Schneider gone.
Comment of the week right there.
I'll give you the woo on that. Woo! If all the women coaches strike, it would be a wake-up call for the NFL. Facebook user, I don't know who that is, but thank you very much for tuning in. Jay says, Ryan is in a cast for a week. Swelling is still severe. They will test it again in another week. Alex says, I still love you guys. I know we all have a personal opinion. At the end of the day, everybody can have a personal opinion on the evolution of sports talk television. At the end of the night, we're not going to hold it against you. We'll all go home as friends. Tim says, I'm just happy I made Harry laugh. Leo, I know you got to get out of here, but before you get out of here, one of our old friends decided to also click in. Let's go out to Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Welcome, Tampa Bay Ray. I know you have something to say about this. You're not on the screen there, but say hi to Leo really quick before we let him go. But welcome to Evolution.
Leo, my brother Leo, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Ray. How about yourself?
Good. I love every time I get to hear you imbue your knowledge, every time I get to hear you asking questions in the pressers, and of always getting together with you. I hope we can do it this season coming up here, this 2022 Buccaneers football season, brother. And let's talk about Bulls too. All right, we'll definitely do that.
Absolutely. Hey, show up Wednesday. It's a media day out at USF.
Oh
there you
man,
go. There you
now
go.
you're just
Stand
now
by.
you're just dropping it. Thank you, brother.
All right, so Tampa Bay Ray, your thoughts on this, because I know this kind of hits close to home, and I think it hits close to home for a lot of us who have sisters and mothers, and of
Yes.
course
Hi,
aunts.
Ray.
And daughters.
Hey,
and
Harry.
daughters.
And my
Absolutely.
2 daughters. Yeah, but I had a campaign last year when that oral report came back after the investigation with the attorney that was hired by Daniel Snyder for the
You say
Washington
oral?
football team. It was an oral report. They
Easy.
came back. She was in
Harry.
easy, Harry. Come on.
Allegedly.
Okay.
She was in but I ran a campaign that really, and of course the Deshaun Watson was already on the radar. That was already going, but we were so far away from getting the end of that. And then Rich Dalrymple, and the fact that after the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders had a photo shoot, and they had half an hour to get back to their locker room, get dressed for a luncheon, and Dalrymple, instead of walking an extra 20 feet to the men's room, he used his key code scan in to the security to get into the locker room where everyone knew all the Cowboy cheerleaders were dressing. Now these are other things that we don't have any maybe evidentiary proof other than he said, she said. So, and in this situation, with the moment I heard Deshaun Watson, I said, you know what? I heard he was flying them in from Atlanta. Some of them, they were going out to the 4-star hotel that the team was setting him up, and they gave him a room. I said, as long as there's a paper trail, this guy's guilty. But the fact that every court and every jurisdiction and no one failed to charge him and run it up, that put this retired federal judge under a microscope, and she came back with 6 games. And I would have liked to have seen another whole season. I was sickened when the Browns signed him, brothers, but I saw Leo, and he said that he was expecting it, and I thought it was going to be 8 games all along, and maybe Goodell will come back and proffer 8. But at the end of the day, guys, I think that the Cleveland Browns team, if they're 4-4 with Brissett at quarterback, and Deshaun comes back in the AFC East or AFC North for a late season charge against a rebuilding Pittsburgh team and a Bengals AFC defending champion team, and the Browns are in the thick of a hunt, and the money that's going to move in Vegas now that legalized gambling is the biggest thing and the biggest moneymaker, it's just all arrows pointed to the fact that this wasn't going to be a full season, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. Let's go from the football aspect here. If this suspension holds up and it's only 6 games, I mean, what's the impact on the Browns? Leo, do you feel like they're a contender in that division? Probably the favorite, right? Besides the Bengals?
Peter, I don't think there's a favorite in the AFC North. Again, you got the Bengals, you got the Steelers. You don't know what they're going to do at quarterback.
Right.
You got Jackson in a contract year down in Baltimore. You know what happens when quarterbacks playing contract years? All of a sudden, they put up some big-time numbers. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Browns in it when Deshaun Watson comes back, because I think you can throw a blanket over all 4 of them. I think 11-6 will win that division.
Whoever stays healthy wins it.
Yeah, 10-7 maybe. And again, I've been politicking to expand the rosters, because 17 games, look what happened to the Buccaneers last year. They were out of bodies. And again, the fact that you playing with 53 guys for 17, no, you got to stop that. You got to get that thing up to 60, 65 on game day.
Leo, I know you got to get out of here, so go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
Yeah, go to Amped Up Sports. I'm going to get ready to put up a Bill Russell thing tonight. I think we've beaten Deshaun Watson to death, so I'm not going to use that as my daily memo. But literally and figuratively beating him to death. I'll leave it at that. But go to Amped Up Sports in the next 10 minutes. I'll be putting up my Bill Russell thing. And then Wednesday, we'll be out at USF. And, hey, also go to the AAC YouTube page for their football media days. Peter and we had a bunch of questions in there, didn't we, Peter?
Yeah, we absolutely did. That was a fun time. Thanks a lot for giving me that opportunity. And I'm going to have to go on there and edit some of the questions you asked, because you were making opposing coaches laugh about it. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, he's on the Sports Web. He's the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete.
Absolutely, guys. Hey, Harry. Hey, we got to get together for dinner. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'd love to do that, Leo. You know,
do it.
before you go, I just wanted to make one more point, especially while Ray in here and everybody else is here.
Yes.
People that know me, okay, and I just want you to take this, and we're going to jump back to the Deshaun Watson thing again. I'm not going to go piling on him. I want everybody to think about what companies you work for. I so happen to work for a major corporation known as Bridgestone. We have a conduct policy. There are people from Bridgestone, former employees and current employees, that actually watch this show, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're wearing that uniform with that badge on there, you have to hold yourself as a professional. You cannot disrespect the name that's on here. That's our personal conduct policy. I don't know. They wouldn't have suspended me for 6 games. I'd have lost my job.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it. That's what
Just
it comes
think
down
about
to.
that. Ray, you work for a municipality. I'm not going to say which one. Could you get away with that?
Oh gosh, no! I get arrested. I mean, even not that Deshaun was ever actually arrested, but I get arrested for something simple. I mean, anything that questions my conduct and with the being
Hey,
working in
guys.
government.
I was a school teacher for 45 years. You want to go down that road with me?
Oh, yeah.
It would have taken one. And even if they are lying through their teeth.
Just
they've been out of jail.
allegedly. Just being
Exactly.
alleged.
Oh, yeah. Just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, in a room alone with a female student with the door closed, and they yell wolf. You're in serious hot water, guys. I'll leave you with that one. Have a great evening.
All right.
care, Leo.
We love you, Leo. You take care.
Haggerty. All right, we have now Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, of course, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Let's go out to some of these comments, and then we'll get back to it. We'll talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the loss of Ryan Jensen. In fact, we'll hear from Tom Brady and what he had to say today. But let's keep on reading some of these comments here. Andrews Davis says oral reports, or excuse me, I don't think that's the Steelers will have a losing record. Christopher Cole says, don't underestimate the Steelers. Andrew,
I agree.
Hard to win without a quarterback, and the rookie has been hidden from the press, which is never a good sign. Alex says, drop it now, Harry. Let's talk Rays baseball. Whatever happens, happens. We never drop anything here. Alex, shame on you. We'll talk Rays baseball. If you want to talk Rays baseball, get on the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Charming Juanita says, yes, Leo is legendary. Andrew, again, Bridgestone also wouldn't have their lawyers create an NDA or provide you with a room either. Exactly. Let the truth set you free.
What's up, Drew? I just want to give a shout out to my boy, Andrew Davis. What's happening, brother?
And Andrew absolutely made an astute point here, gentlemen, and that's why I feel like Roger Goodell not only needs to suspend Watson for a year, but also the Texans. In fact, they need to be fined. And also, they need to lose draft picks because, again, if this report is true,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why? Because if they're providing NDAs and if they're providing the guy with the room, and they knew about what was going on with so many women, and I get it, again, they're allegations, but they knew about this. And
yeah,
point,
I agree, Peter. That's the people have said I've talked with. Well, the Texans shut him down for the entire 2021 season, and they go to the rookie Davis Mills. And here's the thing: the reason why the Texans shut him down is they needed to get him as far away from the facility and the light as possible because they knew what they did, and they knew how deep they were in it, and they settled with all these girls. They settled that quick before the NFL even got a chance to even.
So, Ray, are you saying that the Houston Texans actually paid them, or did this come out of Deshaun's pocket?
No, I don't know if there was actually any money transferred.
What's your speculation? Do you think Houston may have paid this, or do you think? Because I think this money is coming from the both of them, but I honestly feel that the majority of this money is coming from I think Houston helped facilitate it. I think it came out of Watson's pocket.
You know what the worst? Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
tell
Sorry.
you what, hold the line here. Let's go ahead and go out to Alex using his second call. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay, and of course, professional handicapper extraordinaire, Mr. Harry the Greeker, 1252. What do you have to say, my friend?
Well, it's good. It's actually good to see Mr. Kennedy on here. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Right,
brother. Yes, thank you. Good to see you, brother. How are you? I appreciate that.
I've been watching your shows. You've been looking good, man. You've been doing great. Awesome
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
So I did want to wrap up with Harry because I absolutely respect Harry. I have watched him for a long time. He puts out some great stuff. Highly respect the man. I absolutely agree with, like I said, I used my first phone call when I said a couple comments on it, but I agree with what you guys said about the whole Watson thing and the misconduct. Am I saying that nothing ever happened? No, I'm not. But I am saying the only thing I want to wrap up on the case on the case of the situation was what I was trying to say was until he is proven guilty, it's just how it works. That's what I'm saying. It's just how it works. It's like saying, you know what? I went and robbed a bank. Somebody said I went and robbed a bank, but I didn't go rob a bank because you had no evidence against me. You just said I went and robbed a bank. Well, that never happened. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying.
I agree, but Alex, if this happened to me and I work for Bridgestone,
exactly.
Okay, I would be suspended until I was proven innocent.
Correct. I mean,
Fair enough.
And that's the thing.
Fair enough.
And a lot of people were upset about the trade because the trade happened when the jury came back and said, look, we can't convict him of anything criminally. But at the end of the day, why not hold off on the trade if there are so many allegations out there? There's so many civil suits, and I get it. He settled. Hey, there's a reason why he settled because and I just go back to what the judge said.
You want to know when the truth is going to come out on this, gentlemen?
What's that?
When a company like Netflix or Apple or whoever decides to pay these girls more than what Houston or Deshaun did to shut up, just to get the real story. That's when the truth is going to come out, and it may not happen for years.
You know what gets me is I think one of the greatest points I heard made today is that when Deshaun does return, whatever week 7, week 10, week 12, if the NFL, if Goodell actually brings something forward and they bring it up and they go higher because he has the power to do it. The CBA in 2020 called for this, this third party, this federal judge appointed this last year to be a impartial party, but she comes back with any punishment at all. Roger Goodell has that ability, but whatever it is. I think the great point made today was whatever week he comes back, I want to see how the guys in the booth, whatever team it is, if it's Romo, if it's Aikman, if it's Monday night, if it's next season and Tommy's in the box, which no, he's not because he's going to play a 24th season, his 4th season as a Buccaneers quarterback, how they're going to sell, how they're going to dance around. Because the entire game, especially the first game back, everyone's mind's going to be on that. How are those guys, the boys in the box? And guys, we do this. That's what we do. We talk about things like this, and we do broadcasts. So we know that sometimes it's like ice skating on ice a little bit, or roller skating on ice.
And guys, I do want to say this too. I do think that this is. I don't know if this was mentioned earlier in the show, but I do think that this is not the last time that this situation and/or situation will be held in court. Do I believe that Deshaun will be, in court again? No, but I do believe that either Roger Goodell or somebody is going to take responsibility for this down the road. It may not happen right now. I do believe Deshaun Jackson or Deshaun Watson is only going to get his 6 games, and that's going to be it with that case. Harry, I agree with you more. This world is a mess right now. And when we talk about people, and especially us as men, seeing women, abused or whatever happened, I don't know. I don't approve of it. And I really, like I said earlier, I really do pray that never happened. Don't know the situation. I don't. But I do know that at the end of the day, it is all about one word, guys. And unfortunately, it's sad, but this case is all about money. It's about money. And that is why, unfortunately, he is only for 6 games. I actually do. You guys just made one point, and I wish this would have happened. If I was at any other job, you made a good point, Harry. And that's actually the best point I think you made tonight, in my opinion. I do believe stay suspended until the court case is completely up, and that's it, my opinion.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I would like, if you guys don't mind, real quick, I don't want to flip the script.
Talk about the race. I know you want to talk about the race because fan favorite Brett Phillips was DFA'd. The Rays made a trade today.
What do you guys think about that? I thought, in my personal opinion, it was a good move. He struggled. He batted only 150 for the year. I actually think it was a little bit below that. Yes, he was a fan favorite. I do think the Rays tend to do that a lot. You know what's so unfortunate? I was at that Saturday night game when they gave away them Brett Phillips jerseys, and 48 hours later they trade him.
Yeah, I mean that's Rays for you. I mean, and again, I understand it. They make a trade for somebody who's hitting 178 with I think like 3 or 4 home runs, and they feel like he's going to be an upgrade and he's better than Phillips. But I love that kid, and I love what he did for the community. Was he the greatest baseball player of all time? No, but he's definitely a fan favorite. And that's
Let me ask you guys one
that's
question.
just what the Rays do. You know, that's just what they do. That's how they
Let me
run
ask you guys
business. Yes.
one question about it before I let you go, because
Yes.
it's getting late.
Yes.
I believe in the last year, in the last maybe 2 years,
Right.
I believe he has still been better than Kevin Kiermaier. Why is Kiermaier not gone before Phillips? Reason why I said that is I understand
Kiermaier makes more money. Let me help you out with this, Alex.
Yes.
Listen, I know Brett on a personal level. Okay,
He's flat.
he's
Kiermaier's
never had a really good stick, but he brings the same intensity. He brings the same speed. He brings the same hustle as a Kevin Kiermaier. But there's quite a few million reasons why Kiermaier is still a Ray. And unfortunately, Brett Phillips is not a Ray. But maybe the same thing will happen for Brett. Okay, because if everybody remembers correctly, he went to Kansas City, then Milwaukee, and then down here, I think he bounced around, then he went to Tampa. Maybe the same thing will happen for Brett, and he'll get picked up just like Joey Kriebel did, who both of them are best friends. Okay,
Yes,
and Joey
Seminole
Kriebel now,
Warhawks.
yep, and Joey Kriebel right now is one of the best setup men in baseball, and he's playing for the Baltimore Orioles. Okay, let me say that again: one of the best setup guys in baseball with a top 5 bullpen. Hey, look, there's a lot of teams that want really good defensive players. One that comes to mind, the Chicago White Sox have a backup center fielder. Well, you could probably call him a full-time center fielder by the name of Adam Engel. Okay, the guy's got 0 stick, and you know what? He's fast. He's not as fast as Brett. He doesn't run the bases as well as Brett.
I do have one more question.
He'll get picked up though.
I thought this was going to be the year that the Rays would use KK as a deadline trade, because you remember KK's done for I think his contract. I think he has a club option for next year, but I thought they would use him as a trade bait going. But unfortunately, he did hit the end of the season injury. But I just figured they would use him as a trade bait.
They can't get anything from him.
Well, you can't get anything for him because right now he's been hurt most of the year, and then on top of it, he's always hurt. He's great defensively with the bat. He's terrible also.
He's glass.
And
he's glass. He breaks all the time, every year.
It's not good, and hopefully the Rays make a big trade at the deadline, but they're not going to make a trade for Juan Soto. I doubt that they're going to make a trade for Wilson Contreras because they don't want to spend the money. They don't want to go all in like the New York Yankees or other teams, and that's why they're going to fail. They may get close to the World Series. They may make the World Series, but they're never going to win the World Series or anything like that with the mentality that they have. Sorry.
And by the way, one last thing about Brett Phillips. What a wonderful family. Number one, what a wonderful wife. The support staff that he has, and just that synergistic personality that he brings with him, he will land with another major league team. And his clothing line that's taking off, trust me, Brett Phillips will be okay.
Hey, can I get one word in here on Brett Phillips?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Tampa Bay Ray.
As much as the Rays are still in this, we've kind of known since the Yankees have been on such a tear that it's going to have to be a wild card and everyone's got to get healthy at the right time. Let's be honest, guys. I think I'd speak for all of us when I say the 2022 Rays Major League Baseball season moment, the best moment of the year so far, is when Brett goes in there, gets the pitch, throws a 45-mile knuckleball, son of a gun, and then slides over to the left field there in front of the visitors' dugout to make that catch and jumps up with the enthusiasm.
And listen, and with that being said, it's just that for the fans, it's just so depressing. Look, it's not even just about one guy. Guys, I can't remember I've been a Rays fan for all my life. I've been in Tampa Bay all my life. Can't remember the last time I've gotten be able to keep a jersey more than a year, because you don't know when that guy's going to go. It's not about just the jersey. It's not about just, winning. Like Phillips, kids love the guy. You know how many fans you're going to lose off this one? It's just like another one, just like a Longo.
Evan Longoria, David Price, Ben Zobrist. I mean, the list goes
and I do understand that guys.
Right.
I do understand that guys.
Right.
Yep. And I do understand that guys move on. And I just wish baseball sometimes, or any sport, even football, like the Bucks, like look at our Buccaneers,
Right.
wasn't all about business, and it's hurtful. One more thing I want to talk about, and then I have to get out of here because I have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Last question, and I know Pete knows I'm going to mention this. Do you guys think sometime this year we will hear about a Rays stadium deal? Yes or no?
Yes.
I guess. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how it's going to go.
Stu has been around a lot this last few weeks. I've noticed. Have you guys noticed that? He's been around a lot.
Great. He's been around. He's going to games. That's awesome. The self-imposed Mets fan is going to his own team's games. Awesome. Unbelievable. The outsider decided to finally endear himself to the fans after
Are we
what
getting
he
a
did.
Do you guys think we're getting a stadium this year?
Is he going to pay half for it? Is he going to pay half? Because that's the answer to the question. The question is, are the Rays going to get a new stadium when Stu wants to pay half? When he doesn't want to put it on the backs of taxpayers' backs?
Well, Rob
whether it's St.
Manfred made it
Pete
known.
or Timbuktu or Orlando or Tampa or Ybor City. I mean, they're the same cities, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what? It comes down to money. Is Stu going to pay half for it? Is he going to come halfway? Or is it going to be all about Hillsborough doing something? Is it going to be about Pinellas County doing something? Is it going to be about taxpayers right now that can't even freaking fill their gas tank or pay for their own accommodations because the prices are raising? You try to get a one-bedroom apartment, it's $1,500 to $2,000. You think I want to pay for a freaking stadium? I mean,
with that being said, this is the last thing I'm going to say. With that being said, do you think moving into another city is going to make it any better right now? Don't think so.
Vegas. If it's Vegas, any team's going to work there. But
everything happens in Vegas. But yeah,
there's not a city out there right now, and I don't care what anybody says, Vegas or Nashville or Portland, Oregon. If they wanted to do something with baseball, they would have already done it. There is not a city out there.
The Rays make enough money
Correct.
on their TV market alone.
Correct.
That it's absolutely unreal.
And Major League Baseball doesn't want to leave this area. Go ahead.
No, they don't. No, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. I was going to say, that the Oakland A's, they wanted to move to Oakland or to Vegas just like the Oakland Raiders did. And the Oakland Raiders are doing their fine in that Roomba, whatever that stadium, Reliance Stadium. But now Oakland steps up. Looks like they're trying to get a deal done to keep Oakland. They're trying to build a sports area, an entertainment complex to keep the A's or the Athletics there in Oakland. So, I mean, guys, I'll be honest with you. If the Oakland Athletics end up making a deal work in Oakland, you go to, Caesars and MGM and FanDuel and all these, baseball. I got the Golden Knights. They got the Raiders. The Ray or a baseball team would just be the hat trick. And Vegas is the only city, Peter, because you make that comment. No one's got $1 billion to build a stadium. And these days, everyone wants a covered stadium. Municipal dollars are more important. Taxpayers are deciding.
I will say one thing, if you don't mind me saying.
No, go ahead, brother.
On that comment. And then I gotta go for real. I will say that Rob Manfred made it known that he believes that the stadium should be in Tampa. Tampa, not St. Pete, not nowhere else, Tampa. So I'm hoping that somehow, by God's will, that somehow somebody, even maybe Rob Manfred, will pull out some money and build that stadium. I do believe that the Rays will be in Tampa past 2027.
I want to be an optimist about this, but all I've seen from the Rays is we can't make it work. If they wanted to make it work in Tampa because they had the permission from St. Pete and the city of Pinellas County to make it work, they haven't been able to do it because, again, he's not getting the best deal, and that would be Stu and the Rays. Good stuff, Alex. Thanks a lot for the call. Let me give you the Ric Flair once again. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Thank you, Alex. Go ahead, Harry. Promote yourself, and we'll get you out of here on that.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. Peter, thank you so much for actually having me on. Appreciate talking about things that I'm very passionate about. Friday nights, you can catch me on the Over Under live, 9 p.m. Eastern, sometimes a little bit earlier, and 8 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
Never know who's going to end up coming on. It's a little bit over under. We talk a lot gambling. As I always say, Peter, keep your bets low and your returns high. Thank you so much for having me on. We'll talk soon. Y'all got me. You guys really got me fired up tonight. I like that.
Love it. There you go. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Sports. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend. All right.
Take care of yourself. Be good. Ray, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Brother, thank you. I appreciate you both.
All right. Good stuff. Tampa Bay Ray, you want to hang out for a little bit or you got to go too?
No, I want to hang out because I don't want to continue on the baseball talk, but you and I, we've been having this narrative. You and I have been having this talk for years. And I know, they let the big players go. They Sue doesn't they didn't put the money in to keep the Evan Longorias and the Carl Crawfords and even going back to a David Price and the stars that would have helped possibly build a stronger fan base. And, I don't want to continue to do that, but yeah, I'll hang out, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. Let's go out to these comments here, and then we'll get back again to the phone calls. The phone line is open, if you will, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy in the house, live here on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. So let's read some of these comments here and get some of your thoughts on it. Let's go out to David here. I got one better for you, Harry. I worked at a sex shop for a little while. A woman came in, flashed me. I asked to see if a sexual harassment charged against me. All right, let's try to.
Can I read one? Can I read one, brother?
Texans. What?
Can I read one?
Texans paid Watson last year to not play. That's telling. There you go. Good point, Andrew. Again. How can you prove him guilty without audio or video recording? You can't. And why would a masseuse be recording? It gets to the point where enough victims are there to show a pattern of behavior. And that's what I always look at with the NFL, especially going back to it with Ezekiel Elliott and his suspension. He got 6 games for a pattern of behavior. And that's exactly what Judge Robertson said in the ruling, which doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to say this. I'm done. Watson had a problem for the way he treats women, and he needs help. David, again, I think they knew all along that it wasn't going to come down on Deshaun Watson. That's why they had a third party do the ruling against him. It's a good point. And also, it doesn't put, the spotlight on Roger Goodell at this point. It's now a third party arbitrator that has to take the heat. Now Roger Goodell could swoop in and be the hero, or he could just say, you know what? It's out of my control. I'm going to respect the judge's ruling at this juncture. NFL is a big publicity issue week 7. Evening, gents. What's going on? A big board there. Mr. Andrew Fullbear. Andrew, again, imagine how good the Rays would have been the past decade with a decent payroll. How many rings? I mean, we talk about it over and over again. I mean, Ray, go ahead and comment because I know how passionately you are about this whole issue.
Well, I know we could say, do the Rays have a ring if Kevin Cash doesn't do analytics and pull a pitcher in the 6th inning against the Dodgers in a World Series in 2020? But that's the thing. You and I've had this. Yep. I can't. They play analytics, and the Rays have consistently, with one of the lowest payrolls in baseball, been the beast of the East in the AL East, the hardest division in what's been like the hardest division in Major League Baseball for many, many moons. I think I'm not sure where they would have drawn that fine line. And that's one of the ironies about the fact that Stu gets 50% of the development of the 88 acres there at the current Tropicana Field site, which is worth at least $1 billion, especially if his name was Jeff Vinnick and he wanted to develop like Jeff's done so good down there in Channelside District with the Lightning there in Tampa. I don't think Stu, which is weird because Stu, being a player of the market and an investor and a futures kind of guy, but the thing is, at the end of the day, they're just not pulling the fans from Tampa. They're not pulling the fans from Sarasota. They're not pulling the fans from Newport Richie. And that's proven. And I think that's I don't know, Pete. Baseball and football, you can't compare the two. Football, they have 17 games a season. Baseball is 162, 81 home games. But we drive. So from going back to 79, 76, hour and a half on the Howard Frankenstein to get across that thing, to get over for a 1:00 game to see the Bucks, the worst team in the NFL play the, whatever else was the worst team, or the Aints. And the people of Tampa, they've made their point. They don't like coming over to St. Petersburg. They don't want to go down and see the $90 million pier or go to the Dali Museum. They don't want to enjoy some of the best restaurants up, Beach Drive and First Avenue, or go out to the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. And that's one of the biggest ironies about this whole stadium issue is that, as much as it would work for Stu Sternberg to get 50% of the development rights of the gas plant district, if you will, as they continue to build Midtown, he knows going in that if they build a new stadium, they're probably still going to be one of the lowest averaging baseball teams in the major leagues as far as fan attendance. And that's an irony. It's such an irony. It just kills me.
Well, and I think the reason why St. Pete and Pinellas County are still in the running is because of the redevelopment. And that's what the Rays are concerned about. At the end of the day, it's concerning about money. They don't want to leave the county. They also want to put each county against each other in order to get the best deal. With that being said, on the field, of course, I think they're going to be a wild card, but they have struggled lately. I mean, worry about this team. I mean, this is now 3 straight series they've lost.
Yeah, and the thing is, Pete, they're gonna get players back. They're gonna get guys coming back healthy. You don't know if they're gonna sustain because the fact that these players went out injured. We've been one of the most injured teams in the Major League Baseball so far this season. We're gonna get a Franco. We're gonna get a Kiermaier. We're gonna get our pitching rotation back. We're gonna get guys that have been out with Tommy John surgery. They haven't pitched. They've just started to come back around. Velocity's up to 93, 94 miles per hour. Haven't gotten back up to where they maybe were before they went out. But that's why the Rays, they have to play that card to get that wild card because they could do some damage as a wild card. You get to the wild card and you bet best of 3, best of 5, or whatever it is that you have, or even if it's a single game elimination because you're right there on the cusp, they have a shot because their team's going to get healthy toward the end of the season. I don't know why the Brett Phillips things. I don't know if it was something inside the locker room. They felt like they were losing some of the guys. They were like, hey, we love Brett. He's a great kid. He's local. He went to Seminole here, and the fans love him. But, we're going to make some moves here. We're trying to build some chemistry because we're going to get healthy at the right time. We're going to make a run here in September. Wouldn't it be ironic, Pete, after 2008 or after 162 with Evan Longoria, all the things that have happened so far in the history of this fantastic baseball club, wouldn't it just be phenomenal in Tampa Bay 2022 if it was a wild card team that made it and then just went on a tear with a team that got healthy at the right time and found their rhythm and were, in the middle of football season.
Yep.
And Tom's doing his thing and the Rays tear it up. I mean, crazier things have happened, haven't they, my friend?
Yeah, they absolutely have. And that's why you can't rule the Rays out. And that's why it's so frustrating for Rays fans out there because there is so much potential with this team. But again, they don't make the necessary moves at the trading deadline. We'll see if they're going to do that. But, making some moves here, minor moves. I mean, Jose Siri, I've never heard of this kid before. Former Reds prospect, 27 years old, another infielder. We didn't know about Paredes, and
Right.
He's played pretty well. And then again, Josh Lowe hasn't been good at all. And he's finally started to hit, and they just sent him down. So, try to figure out this Rays team at this point. It's just tough to figure out this year, especially very inconsistent. So good point there by Andrew. Convert the Mid-Florida amphitheater to a baseball stadium, parking already there. Can still have concerts there. Great location. Great point.
And imagine if you could get to Hillsborough County and the state of Florida to come together, and they've got the Hard Rock Casino literally right there on the same property. That's why I think people automatically off the top, what would really work? The irony is the history of George Steinbrenner and the city of Tampa and what the Yankees meant and mean to continue to mean with Legends Field over there. But wouldn't a baseball stadium right there on Dale Mabry across the street from Raymond James? The Buccaneers are probably going to get a new stadium in the next few years, 10 years, 5 years. It's probably going to be a roof. It's probably going to be in the same location. They'll probably do it the same way they did it when they tore down the big sombrero and they put up Raymond James. They're going to build it next to it and, walk that tightrope. But wouldn't that be a phenomenal place for a baseball team? But, that's going to take another tax. And you've already made that point, Pete, that, these days it's really hard to get the taxpayers that are already being taxed for everything else and making things so tight to get them on board with paying for a billionaire to have a new home for his toy. Because, here's the thing that gets me. You're an owner of the Rays baseball. They're going to appreciate in value. It's Major League Baseball. You just hold on to the team for 5 years. You're going to double your money, maybe triple it.
Yeah.
So wherever he gets a stadium built, it's going to continue in value. And I think that's the reason why Pinellas County and the St. Pete is still on the table, because he gets half that development rights and the team's still going to appreciate in value. And I still say you build a smaller stadium with all the things that are going on in downtown. I still think the fans would come. I still think you can make it a place where people want to go. You got to create that excitement, that buzz. People don't like the catacomb, concrete catacomb that is Tropicana Field. But, St. Pete, we just drove down there last night, Pete. I'm rambling. But my wife had to take me down after our vacation to get my car down at the Sky. My aunt lives down on Skyway Lane, right down there by the Skyway Bridge. And we drove the interstate, and I made my family look to the left because we just passed Tampa coming back in from North Carolina on 75. And we were going down to get my car, and I said, now take a look to the left. Kathleen and I, my wife, my beautiful wife, we know what St. Pete looked like 30 years ago, and so do you, Pete. But my kids, just in the time that my 14 and 12-year-old have been growing up, I said, now look to the left, and my daughter went, I thought that was Tampa, because it's a distance away. It's a little bit, 275 is a little bit further away from the actual downtown. And I said, no, that's St. Petersburg, and it is blowing up. But the fact of the matter is, I think, you still there'd have to be a lot of things that would go on to make that happen. But I still think that the fact that he gets half the development is what still keeps that on the table. I think you're right, though. He'd like to play the cities against each other. But I think Mayor Castor over there in Tampa has pretty much already made the point that they're not going to even get involved with trying to build a stadium when it comes to putting money toward it.
All right, so good points there. Let me go out to Pig Dog here. Peter and Harry, how do you guys doing? Peter wanted to ask AEW question. Does Y2J beat Mox in a couple weeks to become the interim champion? I love to see the Wizard with the belt. Certainly think it's a possibility, but I think we've already seen that before. I think you keep the belt on Mox until, I think at the end of the day, you want to see CM Punk. So I like Mox to be the guy at this point, in my opinion. But good question. That's why I never bought a Rays baseball jersey, because you never know how long your favorite players would be with the team. David says, Stu reminds me of Culverhouse. No matter how much the fans he don't care. He's still going to pocket that money and go to bed. Exactly.
Oh,
I agree with you to an extent, Ray, but how many group of guys do you know that go to a baseball game and says they can't wait to get to the Dolly Museum or get down to one of those cutesy restaurants? They're looking for a bar after the game. There's a bar. Sports Bar and Grill. It's a pretty good bar down there. But I think it also comes down to the Rays doing enough on the field to spend money. And again, fan favorites over the years, getting rid of them. I get it. It's the business of baseball. It's what they do. But they pocket a lot of the money that they have and don't spend on their product. They expect you to go out and spend money on. I just don't understand that. It's sad to be a Cubs fan, but they have to tear it down and then build it back up. Cubs will make a ton of moves tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I tell you what, Ray, let's go ahead and get out to Tom Brady. We'll get back to the baseball conversation.
No, we're good.
Let me put you in the lobby here really quick. Let's go out to Tom Brady and his thoughts about Ryan Jensen here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
He's worked really hard. Obviously, everyone's heartbroken with what happened to Ryan. So that'll take a little time. But Haynes got to, step into the job and do a great job. So he's worked hard last year, really gained the trust of a lot of people. And, he's got to go earn it. So like all of us, it's not what you did, how hard you worked in the off season. It's, how good of a football player are you? So it's to be determined for all of us.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Let me get out to Tampa Bay. Ray, your thoughts, first and foremost, about Ryan Jensen being out. How worried are you, even though it's before the season and the season hasn't started? And what did you think of Brady's comments, Robert Hansey at this point having to earn his place on this team?
I liked it. Pete, we remember the moment Tommy Boy announces his comeback, he's coming back for his third season as a Buccaneers quarterback. That night, Ryan Jensen agrees to that 3-year extension to stay the center for your Buccaneers team. I honestly, before Tom before Tom decided to come out of retirement, the 40-day retirement for that, third season, I honestly think the Buccaneers were pretty much thinking they were going to move on from a Ryan Jensen. And it wasn't a knock on Jensen. I think Jensen was probably going to go somewhere else because there may have been some other teams that wanted to have that Pro Bowl, center, the superstar that is a Ryan Jensen. And I think the Bucs would have probably taken that money and applied it elsewhere because I think they knew what they had in Hainsey. I mean, the kid goes to the Senior Bowl last season as a left guard out of Notre Dame. He says, I'm not going to play center. He gets there. They don't have a center. They throw him in without any preparation up front. And he impresses the Buccaneers staff enough to get drafted by the Buccaneers. His versatility is one of the things that they pulled him to him. I do like the way Tom put that because he knows that Ryan's going to be out for an extended period of time. I'm still hoping to hear the news that it's not all season because, you've got Ryan Jensen under contract and he's still one of the best, if not the best centers in the National Football League. But between Leverett and Hainsey, I honestly think this team can stay in-house and there's going to be some, as long as they'd agree to put the powder on the backside and keep Tom's hands dry, I think they're going to be able to make it work.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. Let's get this guy on, Mr. Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment around the NFL Insider, of course, Tampa Bay Lightning Insider. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. What do you have to say about Deshaun Watson, or do you want to chime in about Brady and, of course, his comments on Ryan Jensen being out for possibly the majority of the year? Go ahead, my friend.
Well, I think I'll make a couple quick points on the Deshaun Watson thing. I find it to be absolutely ridiculous. We'll see what Roger Goodell does if he comes out and extends it. I can see them possibly going to 10 and then meeting back in the middle around 8, because it'll help them save a little bit of face, saying, okay, hey, we're not happy with the sentence, for lack of a better term. But then they'll kick it back down to 8, and I still think it's ridiculous, because I think he should be suspended for the year. In regard to what Brady had to say, well, I mean, that's the guy in the middle, guys. I mean, he's going to have to go up against some big guys up front coming after Tom Brady. He really needs that guy, that centerpiece. They don't call him the center for nothing. He's the centerpiece of the offensive line. He makes the reads. He, makes the calls. It's considerable, but. Pete, I know you hadn't mentioned this probably throughout the show, and I apologize. I had to preempt you a little bit for
it's okay.
Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul. I apologize, but hey, Saul ran a little late today, Pete. Saul ran a little late.
That's all right. That's all right, buddy.
So I want you guys just to think about how well Jason Light has managed this team in comparison to a general manager like Ryan Pace, for instance.
Hold on a minute.
You can't preempt my comments with sound bites.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's very hurtful.
Well,
Ryan
Pace. Every time I hear Ryan Pace, this is what I think. I think this.
How about no?
I mean, that's what I think about Ryan Pace. I mean, he should have been fired last year along with Matt Nagy. He should have never had any opportunity to draft a quarterback. I just don't understand what the Bears are doing. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's for another show. But you're exactly right.
Well, I wanted to chime in about this, and because a lot of people don't know this, but I'm sure Harry knows about this. And how you doing, Ray? It's good to talk to you.
Oh, good, Travis. I appreciate it. The moment I heard you coming in, I'm thinking, what did I say that was wrong? Because usually you come right in and slap me, but it's good to hear from you, brother.
No, I don't slap people anymore, Ray. I'm on the no slap watch. Okay.
No slapping at all by Travis Feely. Good stuff, Travis. Yeah. Slapped me the other day.
I just wanted to bring this up real quick.
Yes.
Ryan Pace last year obviously went after Fields. That's fine. I get that. All well and good. I'm happy where we're at with him. And I just want to see progression out of possibly one of the worst teams in the league, but you want to see progression out of your supposed number one going forward future quarterback. But then last year he moves up to get Tevin Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Tevin Jenkins, guys, moves up. Oh, yeah, we needed that offensive line help. Absolutely, Tevin Jenkins. Well, you know what? Tevin Jenkins is on the trade block right now. Up in Chicago.
I mean, it's amazing to me, and I continue to tell my host there, Mr. Harry the Greek, on Friday nights. Look, the Bears as an organization did nothing to help this young kid out. In fact, they're going to get him killed because that offensive line is not great. I get it; they have the potential. And then who is he throwing to? I mean, you're going to have to run the ball with David Montgomery at least 30 to 40 times a game, and that's what I would do. Is you got no offensive line, you got no targets to throw to at this point. And to me, the Bears right now are going through a full rebuild, and you're trying to, figure out if this quarterback is the guy, and you've done nothing to prove that.
Just try to keep them, keep them from getting killed this season. They're going to have the most cap money, not this year, but next year. They'll have the most cap money in the league.
Yeah,
they'll have close to $100 million in cap dollars, which sort of would have been great if the wide receiver from Seattle didn't just re-sign
DK Metcalf, right?
DK
Exactly.
And then
Deebo Samuel, who just re-signed with the San Francisco 49ers. By the way, it's not a shocker because, again, he wants to get paid. It wasn't about his role in the offense. He just wants to get paid like every other wide receiver. And by the way, Tampa Bay fans, when you go to sleep tonight, by your bedside, go ahead, put your hands together and say a prayer that you got a guy like Mike Evans, who's not trying to get paid like these
Yes.
top wide receivers. Say a prayer that Chris Godwin doesn't want to get paid like some of these top wide receivers, because that's the reason why you don't have cap trouble and Jason Light's able to maneuver and get a Julio Jones. Go ahead, Travis.
Well, I think the Bucks actually caught a little bit of a break, and I know you guys won't say this, by Godwin getting hurt last season. I think that was
well, and I definitely think that's a
Godwin
point.
Stays healthy all
Sure.
the way through
Sure.
last season, he's going to get big top dollar money, and then Evans is going to look and say, "What's going on here?"
Right.
But you also have to take in the Florida factor. You also have to take in the Florida factor.
Well, you
You know,
also
guys,
have to
we-
take
we
in the
saw
fact
with
you
the
got
Lightning.
Tom Brady
We
at
saw-
quarterback. I mean, you got Tom Brady at
100%.
quarterback, and you got a system
Hey.
that you know. And again, everybody wants to say, well, the grass is greener on the other side. But hell, why would you want to leave Tampa? Why would you want to leave Tom Brady? Why would you want to leave this system when you're only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl championship? So
Can I ask Travis a question real quick?
sure, go ahead, Tampa Bay, right?
How bad is it for Bears fan? Because Travis, I've never been shy to say that going back to when the Bucks played in the NFC, the Norris division or the black and blue division of the NFC Central, always been a big Bears fan because I always got to go to those games. I got to watch Walter Payton and Jim McMahon, and I got to go to those are the games that somehow tickets are always got available for me to go as a kid. But how bad is it for Bear fan that the biggest news today, camp is starting, and the biggest national media news is the fact that Olin Kreutz, the former Bears defensive lineman, choked out a partner 6 months ago, and I'm not here to judge what he did or how he did it. The guy was mad because he used the Mike Tyson term that Twitter makes people brave enough to say things they're not brave enough to say to their face. That, and the fact that the mayor of Chicago is offering to build a roof over Soldiers Field, when we know that moving out to that racetrack from a financial standpoint is probably the most lucrative contract in all of the National Football League. There's 31 other teams that are looking at the possibility of the Bears moving out there to that already legally gambling or the racetrack there to build a new stadium. But Bears fans got so many good things to go look forward to, especially with a young team and, like you said, a lot of cap space next year. But these are the two biggest national stories you're hearing about the Bears right now.
Well, Owen Kreutz was their Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion back in the day.
Yes.
And, very well-respected, very, very well-respected player in the game. And, unfortunately, he's in the situation where he's at. But Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, she's got a lot of other problems to deal with. And this Bears thing is so way beyond her. She's one of the most ignorant mayors as far as knowing the room and knowing the feeling and the flavor of that city. And being from there, I still have a semi-decent finger on the pulse of what's going on there. And she is one of the most hated mayors in the whole country. And I'll just leave it at that. But
I'm sorry, I was going to say, is she really?
Thing is huge. Yeah, the Arlington thing is huge. They're going to Arlington. The mayor and the city completely screwed up the whole Soldier Field situation by putting that added ring on there. They should have made it a dome back in the day instead of building it into a spaceship. But they're going to go into Arlington. They're going to make a huge, beautiful new stadium. They're going to go after the same kind of builders that did the new stadium for the Raiders in Las Vegas. And it's going to be a mecca instead of the disaster of how the new mayor wants it. I mean, the new renditions look really nice, but it's never going to happen.
Sure. I mean, I think it gives them a home field advantage when you don't have a dome. I get it. Everybody wants a dome up there because it snows, but when teams have to go up there and play in that, it's not necessarily the best. I get what you're saying, though. Again, just going back to the Bears, I think it's going to be a very rough season. With that being said, Deebo Samuel does get extended. Travis, what were your thoughts on that? And Ray, you can go ahead after Travis.
It's interesting with Deebo. He's getting his money, even though he wanted to be used more as a wide receiver instead of an all-purpose player. It's interesting. He's going to ride it out, the whole thing with the
Are they going to stop using him? I mean,
Francisco.
they're not going to stop using him in that offense.
Of course not.
You're not going to win as
not,
many
Pete.
games as you did last year if you don't use him in that offense. I mean,
Of course not. He's the key cog.
Yeah,
he's the key cog. Him and Kittle are the key cogs in that offense, and then he's going to rely on Samuel even more with the young quarterback. So you're going to see him with the ball in his hands more this year than last year because, Garoppolo is more consistent. And don't get me wrong, Jimmy's got his own issues, but you got Trey Lance as a young quarterback in the league, and he's going to see defenses, and he's going to check off the who? He's going to check off the Kittle, and he's going to check off the Samuel. So don't be surprised if Samuel gets at least 120 touches in both capacities, if not more, this year.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has an opportunity, Ray, in this offense. And I think, I don't know, I think this team is going to have a little bit of a decline, if you will, because Trey Lance is so unproven. A lot of odds makers out there in Vegas like Trey Lance to win the MVP. Your thoughts on not only Deebo Samuel getting that extension, but how it could impact the San Francisco 49ers going forward?
Well, my interest is always in the contracts, right? Because just thinking from ever since we got the salary cap and, the Buccaneers, they signed Alvin Harper. I'm just kidding, Travis. I had to throw him in there. We've talked about Alvin. But the thing is, I always look. So you look at this contract, because we're driving home from Carolina again the other day talking about the contract that Deebo gets there with the Niners. And John Lynch, of course, Buccaneer Hall of Famer and one of the good GMs, what he's done with him and Kyle Shanahan out there. I said to my son, I said, well, how much of that $70+ million is guaranteed? My son originally said like 60. That ended up being like 40. These contracts that are like, okay, this much is guaranteed. He's getting a $22 million bonus. He's, payroll's $955,000 towards the cap this year. And then if he's on the roster after the third day of the 2022 season, his next season, $3 million. This is what interests me, because we used to see teams sign these receivers, these big contracts, and they had out years. They get the big money in the first year, big signing bonus, but the guaranteed money wasn't there. Now the players are getting their guaranteed money. And it's going to be interesting when we see a Tyreek Hill and a Deebo Samuel and these receivers, these free agents that move this offseason, Devontae Adams, 2 or 3 years down the road, if they don't produce as they're expected to do, are these teams going to have outs? Or are they going to be just stuck? And I don't think those 3 guys I just named, I don't expect them to all of a sudden not be great receivers. But what if? These teams are really saddling themselves. You're paying a quarterback $40 or $50 million a year. Now you're paying a receiver 22 or 25 guaranteed. You're putting almost a 30-year salary cap, or a quarter towards 2 players. It doesn't leave a lot of money, milk in the carton for the rest of the team. So that's where my interest lies.
Well, and I've always continued to say this when, quarterbacks get those big-time contracts, namely an Aaron Rodgers, he loses a Devontae Adams, a Patrick Mahomes, he loses a Tyreek Hill, a Dak Prescott loses Amari Cooper. There are implications for that. And with that being said, Kyler Murray gets paid. I mean, your thoughts on that, Travis? And then on top of it, there's a clause put into his contract that he actually signs about watching more film, and then the Cardinals take it out because he's making such a big stink about it, and people start to realize, I mean, in your opinion, should he have been paid that much? I get it. You get paid for what you're worth, but at the end of the day, have the Cardinals basically set him up to fail?
I don't think they set him up to fail. They set him up for him to leave the team after his contract, or after the length of the contract runs out, because they basically smacked him in the face, and then they kissed his ass.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, who looks worse in the grand? They both do. They both have egg on their face.
They both look equally worthless at this point, because Kyler Murray's done nothing. You watched the playoff game last year, and the dog will agree with this. Both of those dogs in the background would agree that it was absolute. I mean, he played like that. And then on top of it, Lamar Jackson has done more than Murray. And then to me, with the team putting that clause into the contract, it tells me everything I need to know that he's not doing his due diligence as an NFL quarterback. He's not going about it being a professional. And that's important in the league. And you could see that with what happened on the field, especially during that playoff game. And I get it's one game, but maybe this is foreshadowing for things to come.
Doesn't it, Pete? Doesn't it always?
Go ahead, Ray.
I was going to say, doesn't it come back to representation, though? Because, Travis, I think you just made that point, and I think the Arizona Cardinals got their, because Kyler Murray, especially, you saw it, they start out 7-0 last season. They're blazing, and I think his film study of the upcoming opponent, he basically was saying, he wasn't saying I get by on talent alone, but he was basically saying sometimes some things come easy to me. I was a first-round pitcher. I'm a first-round quarterback. I'm a stud out here. The Cardinals put it in the contract. Doesn't it go back to his representation that they would have seen that and not realized their kerfuffle Leo word, that was going
Wow.
to be caused by all of this. And then they pull it out a day later, but the point was made. You're going to pay this guy the money to keep him as your franchise quarterback, but you've made the point that he's going to have to do more film study, and it's on him to do it. So really, they won. And
Guys, in a microcosm, we're talking about a guy who doesn't pay attention enough. You couldn't even pay attention to the freaking contract that said you're not paying attention to enough.
He's not reading that contract. Let me tell you that, Pete. And that's a
He can't read a defense either,
to me-
so consequently,
oh,
rough. But that's a little rough. But
hey,
okay.
I mean that's what the Cardinals said. They
Well, all
basically
he
said
had to do is
they didn't
play
put it.
Madden for a while.
Right.
He
Well,
likes to play video games.
I mean,
play Madden. You can figure out
obviously, I mean,
defenses on Madden.
he thinks that he can play Madden and just go about it. I mean, that's what the whole case is about with the Cardinals. They're telling you he doesn't do enough with, trying to read a defense. He's not a good leader. He's immature. We heard all these rumors come out, and then all of a sudden, well, we're going to throw money at the problem. Well, you know what happens when you throw money at the problem? The problem gets worse or it never goes away. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Hold on. They had to. They were stuck between a rock and a hard place, the Cardinals. Who are they going to go and get? Who are they going to get? Blaine Gabbert to play quarterback for them? Yeah,
go back to Josh Rosen. Come on,
go back to Josh Rosen. But I mean, you're exactly right. This franchise puts all their right. I mean, they put all their eggs in this basket with drafting Josh Rosen and then basically drafting Murray the year after, getting Cliff Kingsbury, and it has not been good. It has not been good at all. They've thrown all this money to J.J. Watt. It just has not worked out. And again, you cannot just throw money at these things and expect them to work out. And
he's a young player. Wow, he's a young player. We give no room for growth anymore.
Good point.
It seems like a guy who doesn't really care about the league. He just cares about
You were
getting
probably
paid.
getting ready to throw Troy Aikman off the Cowboys after going 1-15 his first year.
You're probably right about that, but you know what? The Cowboys did nothing. They basically did what the Bears are doing for this kid, Justin Fields. They're going to get his brains beat in, but going back to it, the Cardinals have at least tried to give him weapons. DeAndre Hopkins, now Christian Kirk going and getting obscenely paid by the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they have tried to give him weapons over and over again, and I don't see the results. I mean, I saw a team that started out great, and then at the end of the day, they did this. I mean, and that is on the quarterback. I hate to say it, but look, if you're going to pay paid that much money and you're NFL starting quarterback, you better come out and produce. And to my point, with paying him all this money at this juncture, you've set him up to fail because DeAndre Hopkins is going to be suspended, the first 6 to 7 games? I mean, what's the excuse? Oh, well, I don't have the weapon. So, okay, well, you paid him top dollar. He better start being an NFL quarterback if you're going to pay him that well. I don't care.
Pete, you made a great point there. DeAndre Hopkins is serving a 6-game suspension to start the 2022 season for finding a small amount of performance-enhancing drug, which he says, he basically got through a Vitamix or something, and that may end up being the exact same suspension that you see Deshaun Watson serving.
Which, by the way, great job, NFL. Way to be consistent with it. All right, Travis. Yeah. I'm off my soapbox at this point.
Pete,
yes.
You threw a name out there, Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Another epic failure by Ryan Pace to not draft Christian Kirk.
Well, not drafting him, and then the Jaguars somewhat, I guess, overpaying him, but at least they're trying to give their young quarterback weapons. You got to, after having Urban Meyer there as the coach, and you're going to try to make your quarterback as successful as possible. That's my thing. Offensive line wise with the Arizona Cardinals, if we're going to make excuses, have they given him enough of an offensive line? No. The guy is already smallish. He doesn't read a defense. He's immature, and you're paying him like he's freaking Russell Wilson at this point. He better start producing, or this is going to be a monumental disaster if it's not already a monumental disaster. And I keep on saying this. If you pay a quarterback that much, eventually you're going to have to pay the piper, and you're going to have to get rid of some players, and it's not going to necessarily work out in your favor. Anything else, Travis Faley?
Yep, here's my Nostradamus. Okay,
yes, go ahead. Like give me the Nostradamus. Yes.
So, could Justin Fields be the first? And I don't know all the salaries. I know it's got to be getting close. But could Justin Fields be the first $60 million man in the NFL?
Yes, if he's not killed.
Listen to this. Listen how this plays out. So this year, he's a little bit more productive. He's moving forward. He's progressing. He's getting killed because of the horrible offensive line, yes. But in the third year, when they have all the money and they can actually start building around him, he turns the corner and he's at maybe 2.5 of a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception rate. That's the end of his third year. What's he doing? He's sitting there looking for a big contract, and that could be $60 million, ladies and gentlemen. Not more.
And I don't disagree with you, because that's the way the market is. It's completely out of control, and good for the quarterbacks. I mean, Brent Musburger said it some years back. The reason why look at that quarterback. Look at that girlfriend. I mean, that's the reason why the girls are with the quarterbacks. At the end of the day, they're making lots of money. But with that being said, I feel like he's got to get through this year. And if he doesn't get through this year and at least be productive for the Chicago Bears, the fan base is going to call for his head. And then at the end of the day, the coaching staff that they hired, are they Justin Fields guys? They didn't draft this guy. The previous coaching staff did. So who's to say they won't pull an Arizona Cardinal and basically draft Fields and then draft his replacement a year a year after?
Hey, Pete, you know what? You make the point. Eberflus, of course, the defensive-minded coach. He comes over from Baltimore. Fantastic, coach from a defensive standpoint. Kind of takes me back to when the Buccaneers got a first-round Jameis Winston in 2015, and Lovie Smith was your head coach, and we questioned at that point why you're getting a phenomenal offensive talent. At least at the time we thought he was, but. Travis, I'll take you one step further. I think that I can see your scenario playing out where he becomes the first $60 million quarterback, because after losing Devontae Adams and after Aaron Rodgers doesn't have success for the first time ever in Green Bay, it's basically going to come down. I see the Bears and the Lions being the two top teams in the NFC North moving forward. You got Dan Campbell and the Lions and what they're doing down there, and you got the cap space available for the Bears next year. If that happens and the Bears and Lions become the two best teams in the NFC North, then I 100% agree that could be exactly what you're looking at, is him becoming one of those first $60 million a year type quarterbacks.
Well, I think you got to put the Vikings in there, even though Kirk Cousins is very inconsistent. It's
Kirk Cousins, Pete.
Yeah,
it's Kirk Cousins.
You still got a wide receiving core there, and you also got Dalvin Cook. If he can stay healthy, you have somewhat of a pretty good defense there, I would say. So I still think the Vikings are in it. But going back to it, I mean, you're a Bears fan. Are you comfortable with what the Bears have done in this offseason to help out Fields, or are you fretting it? Because remember, when Fields was in there as a starter, 38 sacks, that offensive line gave up. Look, you're not going to last for many games if you're getting hit that much during a game.
I hate this team. I hate the organization. And what's even worse about it, Pete, about hating this team and organization, is they glue me to the couch every Sunday ever since I was 8 years old, watching football,
just like me,
watching the greatest player who ever touched a pigskin in our lives, and I'll leave it at that. Everybody knows who that is, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so, Mr.
Sweetness. Yes,
you guys are the best. I really appreciate the time today and listening to my sometimes ridiculous but on point opinions. And Pete, we definitely got to talk a little bit about some lightning off season real soon. But hey, guys, football season is right here. It's happening.
It is. Thursday night's our first game, even though we were probably going to get all excited about it and you're not going to see the starters in it. It's still football at the end of the day. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Appreciate the call. As always, Travis, don't be a stranger, my friend, all right?
You got it, brother. Hey, everybody out there, check out rocketsports-ent.com. We got all sorts of music and sports stuff going on. So check it out, rocketsports-ent.com.
There you go, Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, my Around the NFL insider, and, of course, Tampa Bay Lightning insider here of the Sports Web. Let's go ahead and read these comments, and I'll get you out of here for the night. Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, thanks a lot for co-hosting. Of course, we had Harry before, Leo Haggerty. Plenty of calls tonight. Plenty of interaction and engagement. That's what I love here about this show. Get on the phone line if you have something to say. Say it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to these comments here from Christopher Cole. What's everyone's thoughts on Ric Flair's last match? From what I heard, it was pretty good. Of course, you had Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal. I can't remember the guy's name. Odolio, that's not his name. His son-in-law, who is, yes, they had a good match. It was a good match. It was well done. I still feel like there's a lot of people out there that feel like Ric Flair's last match was with Shawn Michaels. Of course, it's not. It was a good last match. I don't think he's going to wrestle anymore. Congratulations to Ric Flair in his Hall of Fame career. I think he's done. Now that Jensen's out, I'm nervous because now we're going to have a new center and 2 new guards where Tom Brady can't take pressure up the middle. The good thing about this, if there's anything good about it, Tampa Bay Ray, and I was thinking about it today, is at least it happened before the season because there's still a possibility you could get back Jensen maybe in December or later on when you're making that push for a playoff spot, possibly a division title. We'll see how that works out with the Saints, but you're going to get the opportunity to see Robert Hansey. You drafted him in the 3rd round from Notre Dame. You're going to get the opportunity to see the other guys. And we know Jason Light, if he doesn't like what he sees, you can always go out there and get a veteran center. Your thoughts?
Brother, how huge was the signing of or getting Shaq Mason at right tackle, at right guard? Because he's got the experience. He's going to take whoever's at center, because it's either going to be Hainsey and Leverett or someone else. If they do go for for some reason they do get a veteran out there that wants to come in here, but Shaq's got the history with him, and then you got Stinney on the other side. You got Tristan Wirfs at right tackle when you got Donovan Smith at left. So the thing is you hate to see that happen to Ryan Jensen. You want to hear good news. You want the swelling to come down and for them to come back. I mean, the last I'd heard is they were still waiting to see if it was going to be serious enough to require the IR for the entire season, or is there a chance that this cat can get back? I didn't get a good enough look at it. I saw the way Stinney was engaged. I think it was Logan Hall, and I saw the way he got, of course we saw him carted off. But how big was the Shaq Mason signing? So from that standpoint alone, at least we know we've got that veteran leadership now on the offensive line to compensate for 2 new guards and a new center on your 2022 Buccaneers offensive line.
And how big is it of a drafting of a Luka Haggerty?
Oh, yes.
Getting him, possibly playing him at left guard and having some versatility. So it's definitely a big-time loss of Ali Marpet. It's a big-time loss to have Ryan Jensen. But once again, you're going to get an opportunity to see these guys. And then once again, if Jason Light isn't happy with what he sees, he can go out there and get a veteran. Let's go out to Jeremiah. Hey, peeps, what's going on? Let me fire the cannons for that. Let's go out to David here. Do you think we're going to get Dr. Nick Citro back on your show anytime? We shall see, but congratulations to Dr. Nick Citro.
Dr. Nick.
I'm not surprised by that because most of the time when he came on the show, he was, always dissecting, if you will, NFL prospects and things that were happening around the league. So congratulations to him. As always, the surgeon himself dissecting. That's what I should say.
Yes.
Neil says, fire. I like it. I'll fire the cannons. Appreciate you. Murray always looks good in the beginning and the middle of the season, but towards the end, I don't know what happens to him. Who knows? Juana says, I agree with you, Peter. Don't throw money at the problem. Juana, again, yep, you better come out and produce in the NFL. Is paying him big bucks. And Juana, again, great perspectives. Tampa Bay Ray. Tell you what, let's go ahead and have you hang out for just a little bit longer. Let's go out to Tom Brady. And question today by a woman that's been on the show before, Miss Casey Hudson of the Sports Case and also Peter Report, asking him about wide receivers here on the evolution of sports talk television. Here we go.
Steady improvement, just getting better every day. So it's hard if you take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I think you can start at a lower point, but if you make progress every day, you get to a good place.
You mentioned at a press conference months ago that Russell Gage needs to come in and be effective right away. What have you seen out of him so far, and has he impressed you?
He's done a great job getting open, catching the ball. All of us have a lot of work to do.
All right, so all of us have a lot of work to do. Let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray, I mean, your thoughts first and foremost of the signing of Julio Jones, and then once again talking about Russell Gage. You hear a lot of things coming out of camp. Not only Julio Jones looks impressive, but also Tyler Johnson is in shape this year. Yes. You have Russell Gage, who we talked about here, possibly Scotty Miller. I mean, there is a plethora of wide receivers on this team, and all you're hearing also good things coming out of camp that Chris Godwin's going to be ready for week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys. Your thoughts first on Jones, and then the rest of that wide receiving room.
I'm actually giddy, Pete, and let me tell you why. And this is coming from a team that's just 2 years removed from having the best receiving core in the National Football League. But you hear about Tyler Johnson coming in, and you already saw Tom leaning on him going back to the championship game versus the Packers in 2020. They get the call across the middle. Tom was going to him on a crucial part of the game. The kid, the Minnesota, Golden Gopher, was already showing his stuff, but he was down a little. The team was down a little on him last season. He came in a little bit heavy, wasn't as impressive as they want him to be. But now you got a Tyler Johnson and a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin who not on the pup. Looking to get him back, some point early in the season, if not at the start of the season, and a Julio Jones as your third receiver, maybe even your fourth. It's like we talk about, they signed Lenny Fournette to the 3-year, the highest paid contract for a Buccaneer running back in team history. I've been using that all week, but I believe that to be true. I've done a little research. We've never paid a running back, and it's still a good deal to have Lombardi Lenny on his team. And, and you're going to have to get the running game started. I honestly think, Peter, that there's a chance that even with Todd Bowles, the defensive-minded Bowles, people are like, oh, well, you're still going to have Byron Leftwich running the offense and Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. We know this. Bowles is going to be more conservative. He's going to be more – I think that could possibly be true. But at the same time, the conservativeness and the running game establishment could also, with this receiving core, set this Buccaneers team up to set a record National Football League record for the highest scoring offense in the history of the league. Could happen this season.
It certainly may happen this year, especially with the weapons they have. And I get it, you lose Rob Gronkowski, but you still have Kyle Rudolph. You added to this offense Cam Brate. You have the 2 rookie tight ends, and then you mentioned the wide receiving room, and then the running backs we're not even talking about. That's a great transition. I tell you what, stand by. Let's go out to Stephen Che of Barstool Sports, and his question today for Tom Brady. Just keep on listening. It's pretty funny. Here we go here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Steady improvement.
Oh, hold on.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, man?
I was interested, obviously, asked about Lenny. How is the rest of the backfield depth with Rashad White, Giovanni Bernard, and others?
Do that again? That was good.
Giovanni Bernard.
Very good. I can't say it like that. That's got to be a big position for us. So they gotta step into the job. It's our receivers get a lot of attention, so it leaves opportunity for the tight end and the running backs to make plays in the run game and in the pass game. So Gio, Lenny, everyone's got to do a good job.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Once again, Stephen Che of Barstool Sports doing the Giovanni Bernard.
Giovanni Bernard. So you'd gotten that when I messaged you that when I was listening to the presser a little after it ran there on WDAE this afternoon. You had already heard that, so you got that inside joke when I sent that to you, eh?
I love it. I absolutely.
I laughed so hard. I thought about you first, brother. It's the first thing I thought about. Giovanni Bernard.
I like you.
I like you.
High five.
High five.
All right, on to Jeremiah. So sorry. Who did we all draft? I had no access to find out this knowledge. Sorry, no phone, no TV, no computer. We'll have to go through that another time. They drafted a first round or second round player after not drafting the first round. They traded down with the Jacksonville Jaguars, got a defensive tackle in Logan Hall, got a guard out of Central Michigan, and a running back in the, the third round, I believe. I have to go back through, but they did pretty well in the earlier rounds, and they also drafted a punter in the 4th round and drafted a pretty good, seems like a corner who Carlton Davis was talking about. We'll have to get to that on Wednesday.
You know what I love about that, though? Jake Camarda, the punter we draft, higher, coming out of Georgia, the national championship Bulldogs 2021 team. Because we were fortunate. We had Bradley Pinion. Always setting them back, touchbacks. That's a big thing. Put them in the end zone. Keep from doing the wedge. Keep the blocks. Just put it in the end zone. Let them start at 25. Jake Camarda. I was talking about the fact that when he punted last season, there were so many games where the Georgia Bulldogs offense, they were doing well, but they weren't as strong as that Georgia defense that put a few foot bodies into the National Football League here in the draft this last 2022. But I was talking about how he flipped the field position because of his punting average. I think it was 46.7. It was one of the highest in the NCAA. But buried a lead also, he had the number one a percentage as far as touchbacks on kickoffs. So the reason why, Bradley Pinion, he was still, he signs immediately with the NFC divisional foe, the Atlanta Falcons. So you're like, or not the Falcons. Was it the Falcons? No. Yeah, it was the Falcons. I think he's now with them. But he signs in the division. But I think that, we got some great draft picks in this 2022 draft. But, drafting that punter in the 4th round, because the minute it happened, everybody wanted to bring up Robert Aguayo, and the Buccaneers were trying to find something to kick. And, Jason Light, probably the biggest and only mistake I can pick out to date since he took over this team as a general manager in 2014 is drafting, going up to pick a Roberto Aguayo so high over. But being that the Buccaneers were still in such bad shape and such bad mojo, going back to Bryant, going back to the history of kickers here in Tampa Bay, I still don't have a problem with that draft pick. He was trying to fix something that was needed to be fixed. It just didn't work out the way he thought.
No, absolutely. And I tell you what, let's go ahead. I want to make sure I'm going to keep you on screen here because I want to read. Actually, I'm going to have us both on screen here because I want to read these draft picks off so our buddy Jeremiah knows. Again, Logan Hall, 6'6", 283 out of Houston. And in the second round, they also got a guard out of Central Michigan, Luke Gedeke, with the pick there. Again, they get Rashard White, the running back out of Arizona State, who, by the way, Herman Edwards compared to Marcus Allen. Talk to White at the draft. He compares himself to Le'Veon Bell, so we'll see what he does. Cade Otton in the 4th round out of Washington. And they get Jake Carmada, as we talked about. Ray just talked about the punter from Georgia. Of course, Bradley Pinion no longer with the team. Zion McCollum out of Sam Houston State at corner. 5th round pick could be definitely a steal, especially the way that Carlton Davis is talking about him. And then they go out and get in the 6th round Cole Keefe,
Yes.
the tight end from Minnesota, And then in round 7, Andre Anthony, defensive end out of LSU. So there you go, Mr. Jeremiah, right there. Those were your draft picks, and we'll see how they work out. At the end of the day, it does take some time. It takes a couple years. But I do believe that the Bucs feel like Hall is going to make some contributions, that Gedeke could definitely make some contributions, and some other players, maybe possibly a McCollum, pushing some of these corners out. Sean Murphy-Bunting, could be on the hot seat at the end of the day. Jamel Dean, as a free agent, played well last year. The Bucs will have to decide with the big-time contract they gave Carlton Davis, which is top 10 money, if they're going to do the same for Dean, and that's the reason why you may draft McCollum in the 5th round. I mean, pretty good draft so far. We'll see how it works out. That'll be in play for all these training camp battles. Tell you what, let's go ahead and get you out of there on this, Ray. Your final thoughts here on the evolution of sports talk television.
I'm glad you asked me because I have one final thought, brother. And that is, I hope you don't mind me doing a crossover here because we're doing the Sports Web tonight, but I am just so proud of you, brother, because, we did 3 seasons, 4 years we've been doing this, Apollos, Tampa Bay Bandits, not Bandits, but Buccaneers pregame shows and always doing our shows. I know how important you take your craft, and I'm just so tickled pink that you were doing such a fantastic job as a reporter for WTOG 44. It became my favorite station the moment they got you in there, but buried a lead. You're doing a fantastic job. So on my parting thought, just keep doing it. I love you. I love what you're doing. You've made it. I've DVR'd the show tonight. I DVR'd every night. I love your pieces. Keep doing what you do, brother. And thanks for having me out here tonight on the Sports Web.
Appreciate you, buddy. As always, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy killing it here on the evolution of sports talk television. Love you too, brother. And we'll see you soon. All right.
You got it, brother. Take care.
All right. Good stuff there. So final thoughts here. And I'm going to do my Peter's perspective. Once again, with everything that's been presented tonight, I've made my thoughts clear with this case. I feel like that Roger Goodell has a responsibility. Once again, my perspective is if you're all about protecting the shield, if you're all about how you represent that shield and protecting women and trying to actually let them know that you care about how they feel and you care that they're a fan of your sport, you have to do the right thing. And with this report coming out today that he's only going to be suspended for 6 games is not going to get it done. I keep on going back to it. A pattern of behavior that was egregious. Ezekiel Elliott was suspended for 6 games for far less than Deshaun Watson. And at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and say that, it's not a criminal case, that he was not criminally found for nothing, that's fine. But when you have the judge saying in so many words, not only that, but also and let me go ahead and go back to this. Predatory conduct cast a negative light on the league and its players. I would say at the end of the day, Roger Goodell needs to suspend Deshaun Watson for a year or longer, and this is why. He has dropped the ball. He has dropped the ball with Ray Rice. He has dropped the ball with Greg Hardy. He has dropped the ball at every moment, and at this point, he has the opportunity to take the ball and go in for a touchdown. There's something wrong here. Whether he was found criminally guilty or not, there's something wrong. And I get it. Everybody wants to talk about Watson's talent, and you cannot deny it. He definitely has that talent at the end of the day. That's not the issue. The issue is if you're trying to protect the shield and the image of the National Football League, then you need to do what's right. Suspend Watson for a year. Thanks to all the guests here on the show, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports, and of course, Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. We'll be back on Wednesday night, maybe sooner, who knows, when breaking news happens. Like and follow I Love St. Pete on Facebook. Like and follow The Hub. Like Amped Up Sports, and of course, like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube, and do 3 things for me on this great Monday. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time, and it's your time. Have a great night.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Football, man, you know, you gotta love it. To do this, you literally have to love it and be able to create that juice from within. Just be able to go out there and compete. Like, bro, Tom Brady is our quarterback. Like, I'm going to get some every day. Like, how can you not get hyped? Like, this dude is the best football player to ever play. Mike Evans is one of the best receivers to ever play the game. So, like, being able to come out here and compete, and then I'm in Florida, so like, you can't beat that. You literally can't beat it. It's a win-win here. But that gets me juiced up in the morning, just being able to come and compete, you know. Coming from where I came from, it's a blessing to be here and be able to win rings with the greats and have a chance to be one of them.